have some important news for you.
Interesting news?
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Hey, morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing today? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Just talking about UFOs.
You know.
Yes, I was just about to lead with that one for sure.
Yeah.
The night skies were lit up last night and we were getting all sorts of messages.
Yeah.
OMG, Sandy, what's going on?
Yeah, no, I think everyone forgets the world has gone to space and there are rockets going from here.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You know what, though, Aaron? I was thinking about this. I mean, if we were alive a couple hundred years ago, we would have sworn that, it was all coming to an end and that was going to be it. But thankfully, we have the technology and Google to simply tell us that, some satellites are being launched last night. So emergency diverted. I must say, though, that there was some pretty cool footage from the DR. Did you guys see that particular one?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, it was really, really clear. And you could see the space device, shuttle, whatever we're calling it, like just going in that direction. And it was so cool to watch. A lot of the local ones were a little bit blurry. And I was like, ugh, what's this really?
So no one saw the Starlink satellites. It was just the rocket.
Just the rocket launch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Satellites are super cool to see if you ever get the chance to.
It was.
My gosh. Yeah.
So
that's cool.
It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll lead with that story because that was lots of excitement. I'll send you guys the link for that last one because you just saw it moving in the night sky ever so slowly. Cool. But anyway, in other news, my apologies, the Committee for the Promotion of Research and Cayman Scholarship is inviting everyone to a virtual lecture event. It's called Deconstructing the Cayman Islands as Paradise. This is quite interesting. Dr. McKenna Scott, a recent PhD graduate of Temple University, is going to be doing this on the 2nd, which is coming up here this week because this is it. February's over, folks. So check out our page. You can join 6 p.m. via a Zoom link. It's sure to be a very, very interesting discussion. We've got some sort of interesting, well, you guys are going to hear it here first. I'm going to give you guys some breaking news on 106 really quickly. Papa John's is shutting down.
Well, I'm not surprised, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So we're going to bring you all the details of why soon.
But,
is that today on your show?
That won't be on the show, but we'll do it a bit later on.
All right. And when is that happening? Just right away or?
They're in the process of doing it, actually.
Yeah.
Feel bad for all those people employed there.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch Sandy's show coming up right now on Bobo 89.1 FM. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Bye.
Bigger,
Better,
bolder.
The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's community radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman.
Live, direct.
It's the cold, hard truth. Now. Join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Hope that everyone is doing well. I'm just checking on. Okay, let me just check and see what's going on with the radio this morning. Chuck is saying he can't hear us. Oh boy. Let's see if we can't get this sorted out before we kick off another Rundown Tuesday with Health City. This one's going to be very, very interesting this morning. So let's make sure that everyone can tune in and listen. Chuck, shall I restart? Let's do a restart of the online link and see what happens. All right, let's just go ahead and get that done. Good morning, everyone. I see you guys on social. Let's go ahead and just reload. Sometimes you got to do that. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. We've got all kind of backup options here with internet and all sorts of good stuff now. So let us see what is going on. All right, let's just log out completely. You know, we do all of this. It's amazing technology, but every once in a while, a little something, something, something happens. So let's go ahead and re-log back in. All right. Good morning, Radio Land. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I feel like I'm in one of those phone commercials. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good morning. All right. So we also want to welcome all of our WhatsApp listeners. Of course, we're going to send you guys the live links now as well. People are anxious this morning. I don't know why. First thing they were like, hey, you got the links ready? And I said, the links become ready once we go live. So yes, yeah, here we go. We have dead air now. Oh, All right, let's give Chuck a minute to just figure out what is going on, because I certainly am confused by it all. It says that we are live and direct and everything looks good on my end. So I'm not sure. So weird. All right, give me 1 second. Technical issues. We have, the correct microphone selected. I try not to change anything if I can help it. You know, just leave it all the same. Don't touch any speakers or anything. Yeah, I must say everything looks good here, Chuck. I'm not quite sure what's going on. All right, give me 1 second, good folks, and then we're going to hopefully get radio up and running. Yep, everybody's telling me YouTube and social's good, but the connection to the radio is a little bit different. So we're just making sure that all of that looks good. It looks good on my end. Not really sure what's shaking over in the studio. All looks good here. That's what I'm messaging him right now. So I'm not sure. Maybe they need to restart. All right, give us a second. We will Okay, I'm not getting anything coming down the pipe. Strange. Okay. Yeah, not sure what's going on over there. All right, let's get the show going, and hopefully they'll figure it out. Maybe midstream, we'll get an idea of what's going on. All right. It requires, computers to talk to each other and links to be working and talking to each other. So good morning to Miss Vernita, who's in the house. He's going to take it to the higher guy, the tech guy in the house. All right, Miss Vernita's here. Yes, thank you, Denny. We are aware something's going on with the radio. Of course, if I say that, Denny might not actually hear me. Especially if he's listening on radio. Good morning to Miss Barbara. How are you? Good morning to Stephen, joining us all the way from the UK. Stephen, how's the weather over there? I suspect someone is calling me to tell me that the radio is not working. You think? Hold on. Good morning, honey chow. How are you?
Good morning.
Hi, darling.
Is this my Sandra?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Sandra. I want you to put one thing up for me. This lady I'm calling from East Cafe.
Okay.
Named Pablito. Email.
Pablito.
And, yeah. She leave her driver's license and her insurance card from HSA, but I just called there, but they didn't know.
Pablita or Pablito? Sorry, Pablita or Pablito?
Pablito, Ibrahim.
Okay.
8 o'clock for HR, but I just got it, so.
Yeah, we'll get it sorted for you.
So, she have a driver's license and her insurance card here.
Not.
At East Cafe.
Okay, not to worry.
Thank you, Sandra, baby.
Thanks, too. All right, my dear.
Yeah.
All right, anybody know Pablita Ebanks this morning? Please advise her that she has left some of her cards at Eats. Pablita. Let's go ahead and send that message out to everyone in WhatsApp, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our guest this morning. Okay. Somebody must know Pablita. All right, Aliana's in the house. Felicia's here. Omeria, good morning to you, my darling. How are you? We've got Olivia, who is joining us as well. Andy is here. Good morning, Alejandro. Miss Sheila. Alejandro says, why you say my good friend Elon freaked out? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. It wasn't him that was freaking out. It was the rest of you wondering what was going on in the night sky. Yes, honey child. It was very, very strange. Yes, Sarah, we're aware that we have radio silence this morning. Good morning to you. Trying to figure it out. They're not sure what's going on yet. It's bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely above my pay grade, honey chill. This is like the tech crew that has to figure this one out. But they're working on it. Good morning to Stephen. 43 degrees. He says, beautiful weather. Brr. Little chilly. Catherine, good morning. She says, second request to all drivers, please, no more senseless accidents. The traffic heavy enough without the unnecessary accidents and holdups. My goodness, Catherine. The universe is listening to you, I hope, this morning. What a hot mess. All right, we're going to try connecting radio one more time. Hold on. They're working on it. Let me see what goes on. All right. So let me see. Ta-da! Is there any magic in the pipelines for me today? Hello, Aliano. He says, good luck. Look at that. Ba-bam! We're in. Shall we redo the morning restart? Let's replay the intro.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman,
Live, direct.
it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right, folks, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Medical Rundown Tuesdays with none other than Health City. We are so tickled pink to have some guests in the studio with us this morning. First up is Dr. Let me see if I can get this name right, honey Chia, because this one is three entire names for me. Dr. Manoj Kumar Rangappa. Dr. Kumar Manoj, is that even remotely correct?
Good morning. Yeah, it's Manoj.
Manoj.
Manoj, yes.
Manoj Kumar
Dr.
Rangappa.
Manoj.
Yes?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think, can I just stick with the middle name, Dr. Kumar?
Yes, okay.
My apologies. We'll get it by the end of the program. I'm sure of that. He is a senior consultant, surgical gastroenterologist at Cayman Islands Health City. I feel like we've also got Mr. Shamari Scott here. Shamari, I think you guys purposely send me these medical terminologies and names to see if I'm going to get tongue twisted or what. Like, really?
Good morning, Sandy. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. It's a bit early in the morning for some of these gastroenterologist names.
That's all right, but we got the radio working, right?
Yes, we are live on radio. Everybody was missing us.
We're cooking with gas. Good morning, Dr. Manoj. How are you?
Morning, yeah, good.
Dr. Manoj, got it. All right, so we do have Miss Monica. We're going to be pulling her here in just a second as well. But first up, we've got Dr. Manoj, who's going to be telling us a little bit about his background. You have quite a wealth of, experience and obviously professional training. So tell us a little bit about that, Dr. Manoj.
Well, before Dr. Manoj starts, Sandy, just because the doctors are always, very humble, I just wanted to mention that, as always with Health City, we always look to bring the best of the best in everything that we're doing. And we've had a little bit of a gap in having a general surgeon, and that's because we needed to make sure that we were getting somebody that would definitely fit in with the A team that we have here. And Dr. Manoj has over 10 years of experience management in complex gastrointestinal as well as hepatopancreatobiliary disease.
My goodness. I'm glad you said that one. Right.
I did that one for you, Sandy.
Yes, thank you.
Right. And then also would have had many years, a decade as well of general surgery prior to that. So he is world renowned. We have him here with us. We're very happy that we're going to be able to add him to the team that we're solidifying, especially as we're getting ready for our radiotherapy opening that you're aware of, Sandy, that will be coming in 3 weeks. And we're just pleased to be able to have him here. And the facility that he was with prior to coming to us at Health City did everything complex from gastro, did bariatric surgery, did liver transplantation. So he's well-rounded. And when you even look at his special areas of interest, you'll understand why, he's going to be a perfect part of the team because, minimally invasive robotic upper GI surgery is an interest that he has. When you also look at the fact that this is one I want to hear about as well, artificial intelligence, machine learning applications in gastrosurgery, as well as extensive use of cross-sectional imaging for preoperative planning. And when you hear that that's a special area of interest, you understand the quality and innovation that we're bringing to help round out the Health City team that we have on the ground here.
Wow. So, I mean, I looked at when I received the, the documentation and his credentials. Of course, I'm always impressed. I don't know how you guys do it, Shamari, but you sure look far and wide for some of the best, well-rounded and talented medical professionals. But yes, Dr. Minaj has quite an interesting history. I love to see the publication and projects that they've worked on. So, Dr. Minaj, don't be shy. I know this is your first time on the program, but tell us a little bit about perhaps why you got into this specific area of expertise. I'm sure you had, anything in the medical field that you could have done. Why gastroenterology? And I don't even want to try that word, but let me try it. This little tongue twisting Tuesday. HEPA. Hold on now. HEPA. Hold on. Hepatopancreatobiliary.
Yeah, hepatobiliary.
Oh, hepato.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hepatopancreatobiliary.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That's a very long word.
It means liver, pancreas, and the bile ducts.
Mm-hmm. Wow. We'll just call it HPB Sciences for short.
Yes.
So why was this area of particular interest to you, doctor?
Excuse me. Yeah, I trained in general surgery initially, and then practiced it for about another 10 years or so. Before which, throughout I was nurturing some kind of a fondness towards this. So hepatobiliary, I always was fascinated by that, especially the complexity that it introduces into the field of surgery. Yeah,
Right.
especially the Whipple surgery, which is done on the pancreas. It's called the Cadillac of general surgery. Right. So that's what, it intrigued me and as well as fascinated me, which led me to take up this complex specialty. And yes, after that, I've been practicing that for another 10 years, wherein I have been involved in all these complex surgeries, including liver transplantation and as well as some amount of robotic surgery. Yeah. So
Very good.
It's been a wonderful journey.
So I want to have a look here. We do have some slides that I think very, very educational. So when we talk about digestive diseases and disorders, so this is then some of what you would be involved in and what you look at. So tell us a little bit about this list that we have here and how common. I actually see something on here that I'm of particular interest, and I'll tell you why here in a second. But tell us a little bit about some of these actual digestive diseases and disorders that people might suffer from and have a need to then come and see you.
Yeah. See, what you see on the top right is the gastrointestinal tract. The top, that is the food. The one at the top is the food pipe or the esophagus, which leads to the stomach. So the list, what you see is the spectrum of the diseases or conditions which involve these organs. So right from at the top of the list, you see the gastroesophageal reflux disease. It involves the stomach and the esophagus. And as well as you run down the list, then you have the irritable bowel syndrome, which is the last. It involves the large intestine or the colon, which the one which you see in the bottom. Yes, and towards the side of the picture, that's the large intestine. So it involves my specialty involves the conditions of all these, including the liver and the pancreas, which are not shown in this, as well as gallbladder. So gallstones, which are mentioned, but it's not shown here. Gallstones is the most common illness or the disease which I see. I've operated hundreds of them, and that is one of my specialty.
Right. Wow. So, there's there's celiac disease in here, gallstones, gastroparesis.
Some of them may not necessitate surgery, especially like celiac disease and irritable bowel syndrome. These are, although they are gastrointestinal problems, they can be tackled without surgery. Most of the time.
And inflammatory bowel disease. So I have suspected for a very, very long time that I have a touch of IBS. It seems to kind of come and go. So tell us a little bit. And I think a lot of people might have these sort of digestive issues, and they're not always aware of, why your stomach is upset a lot. Some people just, I remember my dad, I swear he had something, I don't know what he had, but he would just take Pepto and just drink like a whole bottle of it. And I'm thinking, that's probably not what you want to be doing. But back in those days, they kind of self-medicated. When does someone need to come and see you, when they're having digestive related issues?
Yes. So most of the time you spoke, the irritable bowel syndrome you're speaking about, most of the time it presents as gas. The most common symptom all over the world, patients or any person saying I have gas, the bloating, so that's the most common complaint of IBS. Yes. And then also you may have cramps, and also, you need to rush to the toilet. That's very important symptom to the washroom. Yes. And they occur immediately after having food.
Yes. Well, I've definitely noticed that I have to be careful sometimes what I eat. Like not everything is going to be my friend.
Yeah. It varies from person to person, but a particular food may actually instigate this symptom.
Yeah. And stress. Is stress also a factor?
Yeah. So there is research, and there is there are published studies which show that it's something to do with your psyche and the way you think, or rather overthink. People who are more anxious and kind of overthink a lot, they tend to have symptoms of IBS. And also because the gut also has its own nervous system. You can call it the second brain of the intestines. So they have their own thought process, although it doesn't reach your consciousness level. Yeah. Then it all depends on how well you adjust to the situation. Sometimes, in your strained situation and you're very anxious, it may present symptoms of IBS.
Right. Wow. All right. So have a look at this, folks, for those of you who are watching online. Digestive system issues. So here are some common signs which indicate a digestive issue. So doctor, just walk us through some of these, and at what point do they become serious enough to require medical intervention?
Yes. So as I already mentioned, this gas that presents as bloating, where you suddenly you feel that your stomach swells up, and there's a lot of gas, and you belch and burp, and maybe even pass wind, and it may be associated with cramps. As I said, the other symptoms which are mentioned here are heartburn, constipation, and indigestion. Indigestion is a very vague term, so it's not exactly a medical term. The heartburn is what you feel, in the chest, the burn. Usually relates to the reflux or the gastroesophageal reflux disease. What it means is essentially the acid which is produced in the stomach, it refluxes back into the food pipe or the esophagus, leading. It's normally the esophagus is normally free of the acid, and when it is exposed to that acid, it produces the symptom of heartburn. And that is another very common symptom which I see, but it can over a period of time produce serious conditions like even cancer. And constipation. Yes, constipation is another important symptom which needs to be evaluated, especially if it is a recent onset constipation. Yeah, in the last, say, for example, you suddenly have developed your bowel habits were excellent, but then off late, say, for example, a couple of weeks or months before, you started noticing you're constipated, then that requires examination and evaluation. Yes.
Yes. And, these things, don't underestimate, folks, the degree of discomfort and pain that any of these things can cause you. I mean, sometimes we kind of go, oh, I got another day of cramps, bloating, constipation, indigestion. But I've got to tell you a story here, Doc, which really sort of stressed for me the importance of paying attention to your digestive system and making sure sometimes they're even going to the bathroom. Like, how many of you really are cognizant or conscious of the last time you actually had a bowel movement, for example? So one time I had to go to the emergency room because I was having really, really bad cramps. And I couldn't figure out what was causing it. And so the emergency room, they're there and they're like, okay, we'll order an ultrasound, all the classical things that they need to take off of their list, making sure it's not like an appendix that is ruptured or something. And so when the diagnosis came back, I was pretty shocked to find out, they were like, oh, you're just full of, and I'm like, what? They said, yeah, when was the last time you had a bowel movement, Sandy? And I'm like, I can't remember. And so, yeah, you've got to pay attention to these things because there you go. They can inadvertently land you in front of the doctor. You're not eating enough fiber and drinking enough water, things that really help your digestive tract to cleanse itself and to move things out of the way. And it was very painful, I should tell you. So we're going to be talking about digestive health and some of the benefits of that. And of course, doctor, everyone is concerned about the potential of it being something more serious like cancer. So let's touch on this briefly, and we're going to move on to talk a lot about bariatric surgery and how that can be so incredibly beneficial to people. But what are some of the symptoms then we're looking for if it's something a bit more serious, such as stomach cancers?
Yeah. Stomach cancers, again, they present very insidiously. They may present with, loss of appetite most commonly, then loss of weight, nothing else. So you may think that, yeah, I'm losing weight without even trying, but then actually, especially stomach cancer, because it does not produce any symptoms whatsoever until it grows to an advanced stage. That is the problem. But although the incidence or prevalence of stomach cancer is quite rare in these parts of the world, but yes, you should never neglect the symptoms of loss of appetite and loss of weight mainly. And if you're feeling, the easy fatigability, that is, you feel run down quite early in the day and you don't have any enthusiasm to work, so it may be indicative of anemia, so it requires evaluation.
Yes.
The other symptoms like vomiting blood and bloody stool, they're quite late actually. I wouldn't wait till then. And pain, it never produces pain. It very, very rarely, unless it's very advanced, it does not produce pain.
Wow. So interesting. All right, folks, don't forget that if you've got a question or a comment for our guests, you're most welcome to call in. 936-BOBO is the number. That's 936-2626. And we do have a comment in here. Maria says, my issue was caused by being gluten and dairy intolerant. So sometimes there's certain foods, doctor, that can certainly not agree with us.
Yes. These are essentially certain. It's not very common. It's actually about maybe less than 5 to 10% maybe. Those are gluten sensitive, but whereas many people actually can be dairy intolerant, because we're to be having milk or milk-based products throughout our life, right? So the enzyme called lactase, which is seen in the intestinal walls, they stop actually by the time a baby grows into his in the first few years. The lactase enzymes get stopped, and then that's when the problem comes. So what happens is, when you're having dairy products, you end up bloating and gassy, and the same thing happens with gluten. So yes, so gluten is essentially it's a product of wheat. Yes. So now some people have that sensitivity. Actually, it is more of allergy, and it can cause, it can be very simple as to produce only gas, or it can be can cause severe cramps and may also cause some blood in stools. So spectrum varies between very simple to extremely severe.
And how do you test for gluten sensitivity?
There are various blood tests as well as endoscopy, which we do, and endoscopic biopsy. Once we do endoscopy, is a process wherein a camera containing tube is passed down the gullet into the stomach and then the upper part of the small intestine, wherein we take a part of the tissue and subject it to biopsy under the microscope, and therein we can make out the the changes that are indicative of gluten sensitivity.
Right. Now, you said probably only about 5% of the population really has this sensitivity, but I think it's like the new nutritional catchword because everything is gluten-free. People are running around like mad, oh, I'm going to make a gluten-free cupcake. And it's like, why? Is there any benefit to eating gluten-free if you're not gluten sensitive?
It doesn't make any sense if you're not gluten sensitive. It doesn't make any sense, removing gluten from your diet. It does not. It just maybe it almost has become a fashion statement to say that you're gluten sensitive.
Yep, for sure. All right, folks, did y'all hear that? Stop running around trying to feed me gluten cupcakes and stuff. I don't have a gluten sensitivity. It makes no sense. Get off that bandwagon. It's crazy. All right, Sean says, I'm shocked that people don't have a bowel movement daily or don't know when last they did. I must admit, Sean, I am one of those people who probably don't pay attention as much as I should to that. After that one emergency room episode, though, I'm a little bit more cognizant. So, doctor, should you be going to the bathroom every single day?
No, it is. As far as the definition is concerned, it's 3 times a day to once in 3 days can be considered normal. But I have seen some of them, as we grow older, the number of bowel movements we have per week reduces because the colon, like the large intestine, it does not work as well as it was working, when you were young, right? So then your bowel movement may decrease, and also it depends on the amount of fiber you take. So, fresh vegetables and fruits, they contain a lot of fiber, and also they have these sugars, insoluble fibers, which are called lignins and pectins, and they are essential for the health of the large intestine. So regular intake of fruits ensures that your bowel movements are regular.
Yes. And I suppose it also depends on how much you're actually eating as well.
Yeah. I would say maybe at least one portion a day of vegetables on fruits. That's very important to ensure, health.
Very good. All right. So good. Thanks for the questions. And of course, continue sending the questions in. We do have one about the bariatric surgery, which we're going to get here to in just a second. So what exactly is bariatric surgery?
Bariatric surgery, essentially, it means, if you break it down, baros means heavy in, I think it's Greek. Yes. Bariatric surgery essentially means that you are trying to reduce the weight. It is not like liposuction or something where you suck in all the fat. You're altering the physiology of your gut. So all of us feel our hunger pangs, which make us eat. And many a times those hunger pangs are not essential for us. So we end up eating more than what is essential, what is necessary, and what is sufficient. So over a period of years, when we indiscriminately eat, we end up being overweight and then obese. So with the process of bariatric surgery, we try and we actually alter the physiology. The stomach, or the dilated part, which we have seen in the earlier slide, it is actually a storehouse of food, whatever we ingest, and that gets stored over the period of time, and then it churns it and then sends it into the small intestine for it to be absorbed. Now, this stomach has a capacity to expand, right? So you can maybe, one sandwich or 2 or 3, maybe 10 sandwiches. Yes, you can still, for a period of time, how you condition your stomach. So what exactly determines whether it's full or not varies over time. And for a sandwich may fill the stomach, and another person, it may be 5 sandwiches. There's nothing, there's no limit. So what we do here is, in the stomach, there is a portion of the stomach which produces this hormone called ghrelin. So that is very important for us to, it transmits to the brain that yes, you're hungry. So that part most of the time works normally, but then sometimes as we condition it, by eating more and more, what happens is it starts, triggering the brain falsely, right? So even when you're not actually hungry, you end up snacking, you end up eating more. So this process is eliminated by removing a part of the stomach, which is called sleeve gastrectomy. Right. So the part of the stomach which actually triggers the brain, that is removed, and as well as it also reduces the capacity of the stomach. Stomach is not the entire abdomen which I'm talking about, is that organ which you showed in that slide. Yes, that is the stomach. So it is tubularized. Normally it's it's a large sac. And we reduce the capacity. So this is called restrictive type of bariatric surgery, wherein it restricts the calories you take in. And there's also another procedure called Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. This has been the gold standard of bariatric surgery. And this seeks to, number one, restrict the amount of calories you intake, and secondly, what you absorb. Like, for example, say a normal person who eats a piece of cake, right? He absorbs, he or she absorbs, say, for example, 500 calories from that. Whereas post procedure, the post Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, you eat the same piece of cake, you'll absorb only 200 calories. So 300 calories will go out without being absorbed. So that way, over a period of years, your body tends to absorb less and you will lose weight. So these are the two commonly performed procedures. Although there are procedures, there is something called mini gastric bypass, which is also similar to Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, but there are some technical differences. So these are the three major kinds of surgeries which we regularly do it. So with the help of these, bariatric surgery achieves weight loss, which is quite significant and sustained.
All right, we do have a caller. We're going to get back to some of those points here in a second, but we do have a caller on the line this morning. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning, Denny.
Regarding bowel movement, the doctor said that multiple times per day to once in 3 days could be considered normal. In a crazy world, I'm not sure normal is the ideal. What kind of diet should one eat in order to achieve what would be considered an ideal bowel movement instead of the norm?
Okay, I wish I had an answer for that, because it varies from person to person. One man's ideal diet could be another man's, diarrhea diet. But then
yes,
but then you know what I mean. So there's nothing, each one of us have to evolve our own diet plans. That is most important. And mostly it has to be, obviously we all read right from schools that it has to be balanced. So balanced meaning, essentially, most important thing you should never ever avoid is fiber. It kind of applies brake to whatever we eat. Like, say, for example, you eat a cake or any refined foods. What happens is they lack fiber. They contain calories, and which are very high, like because of their fats and refined sugars. So and having more. So avoid processed foods. That is number one, right? Your local foods, whatever is available, yes. Packed foods, canned foods, please avoid them, because, or at least restrict them, if not avoid them, because it's highly impossible in the current scenario to avoid them completely. So avoid processed foods. Have more natural or unprocessed or unrefined foods. That is number one. So because it preserves all the fiber as well as the vitamins and minerals. These are the important. This is more important than exactly what you eat. Say, for example, wheat, whole wheat products, or rice, the brown rice, right? So because the white rice, it removes all the outer portion of the rice, which has a lot of vitamins. So once they are lost, all you get is just a bit of fiber and a lot of sugar. Right. So similarly, yes, all these canned foods as well as the cakes, pastries, and they contain a lot of calories with less of fiber. So avoid these. That way, you will be more likely to have a good diet. But yes, nobody can say what ideal diet is to a person.
All right.
Well,
yes.
Since if I'm understanding you correctly, by avoiding processed foods, what you're essentially saying is have as much have as much fiber as you can tolerate, and limit the sugar.
Yes, processed sugar. Yes, sugars that are available
right.
in as well as vegetables. They are natural sugars, and they won't cause you.
Right. I mean added sugars, like the refined stuff.
Okay. All right, caller. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I do see that there's a comment here about wheat being GMO. Maria says, wheat is a GMO. Who wants to eat something that is no longer a natural food? Being sensitive to wheat can lead to celiac disease, which can then be a very serious issue. So just as a FYI, Maria, which I'm sure you can look this up yourself, when people refer to genetically modified organisms, GMOs, they're referring to crops developed through genetic engineering. And so, in fact, there is no genetically modified wheat that's currently commercialized anywhere in the world. So this is where bits of misinformation seeps into our knowledge base, and we keep repeating it. And as we've said here in the program, there is good science that says the more you repeat something that's false, the more you believe it, and it still remains false. So GMOs are actually not related to gluten. So we were having a conversation about gluten. So make sure you check that out. There's tons of information out there about why wheat is not genetically modified. So, have a look at exactly what that means. I know people love these ideas, but just because you love an idea does not mean that it is actually correct. And there's everything from ScienceDirect.com, which confirms that genetically modified wheat is not sold legally anywhere in the world. It just isn't a thing like what people think at all. We also have a comment from Sean who says, my gosh, if you're not going daily, there's something wrong with you. And in fact, to the good doctor's point, what is a normal bowel movement is actually very subjective. It really depends on the individual. And as long as your stool is considered healthy in consistency, texture, and color, and there's no, real concerns about that, then there are people who only go 3 times a week. So yeah, it's not a singular thing that fits every single person. And doctor, I suppose this is why people need to know and understand and listen to their own bodies, because I think sometimes that's where the biggest problem comes in.
Yes. See, what you need to in our childhood, whatever the frequency of bowel movement we're having, and over a period of time, it tends to slow down. But then if there is any recent change, recent bowel movement, that is, suddenly you get constipated over a period of time, then after that you have your bowel movement. So that recent change in the bowel movement is more important than your regular habit. There's nothing, if it is you're happy or you're healthy with your bowel, and if it is not regular, if it is not every day, it's still okay, as long as it's not recent. Suddenly the change in your bowel habits, say for example in the last few days, few weeks, few months, and then maybe with the change in consistency, and sometimes diarrhea alternating with constipation, these are the ones which require evaluation and the doctor's attention.
Yes. And so folks, just a little diagram here. If you have any of these things going on, change in color, texture, if it's pale or clay colored, if there's any blood in the stool, green stool, red or maroon stools, black or tarry looking stools, these are some of the things that might cause you concern. But remember, there's a lot of things that actually can impact your bowel movement. So everything from dehydration. So make sure you're drinking lots of water. This is something, of course, I struggle with all the time. Lack of exercise, low dietary fiber. Those are some of the most common causes of constipation, but even life changes. For example, if you're pregnant, if you're taking certain types of medication, or if you have neurological conditions like a stroke or Parkinson's disease, or even autoimmune diseases like lupus and scleroderma, these are things that can impact your bowel movements as well as, any sort of digestive issues. And that's why you want to make sure that you're reaching out to an expert like Dr. Minaj, who can really walk you through and do a proper analysis to determine, if it's something that you need to be concerned about, or if it's something that's going to be temporary, that maybe some medication can help alleviate some of the symptoms of, and it'll pass quickly, pun intended. All right, so let's bring Monica into the discussion. So now we're changing gears just a little bit to talk about the bariatric surgery and procedure. So again, this is a way for people to get some medical intervention and assistance with, weight control. And, doctor, I was one of those people, I'm going to have to completely admit and cop to this. When I was younger in my university days, especially, I had youth on my side, nice and slim. And I used to walk around and judge people who were overweight. I'm like, why is she fat? Why doesn't she just stop eating? And then, as I get a little bit older and middle age, it starts to creep on. I can certainly understand how there are a number of different factors that can certainly lead to people putting on excess weight. Even if you, in your early, years or as a teen and young adult, didn't have the issue, it's certainly something that can creep up with you. So really, bariatric surgery is seen as a last resort?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. As you're mentioning, in the younger days, all of us, we have more muscle mass as well as our activity levels are high. As we grow, especially after 40, the muscle mass reduces and it's replaced by fiber and as well as fat. So you eat the same amount, you take the same same number of calories, but then you fail to burn them, and they accumulate in your body as fat. So that is the that is how it works. I mean, I put it in simple words, but that's how it is. So as we all age, we need to rethink about what we are eating and how much are we eating, right? That's very important. And yes, bariatric surgery is the last resort. First is always diet and exercise. Yeah, but then you go beyond a certain level. Your body weight increases beyond a certain level. Like that is, if your body mass index increases beyond say 30 plus 30 to 35, then what happens? You get there is a spectrum of diseases which accompany the obesity. Like the heart cannot keep up with the mass of the body, and its pump kind of fails to keep up with the mass of the body, and as well as diabetes and hypertension and blood clots in your legs and strokes. All the incidence of all these increases, as well as certain kinds of cancers such as breast and colon cancer. So, and uterine, the endometrial cancers, all these cancers increase in incidence with the obesity. So it's very important in the early stage. You must always focus on your diet and exercise regularly, and have good fluid, hydrate yourself very well. So the metabolic process, is in shape. And if, say, for example, you are unable to control, it could be because of various reasons, or for example, thyroid. If your thyroid levels, the thyroid hormone levels are low, you can gain weight despite eating less. So these are all the various factors we look into before advising a person for bariatric surgery. So the first step, you have to spend good time and effort for reducing your own weight in by exercising and dieting. And if you fail, say you've tried your best for the last 3 months or 6 months and you've failed, or say for example osteoarthritis of the knees, which because of which you are unable to exercise, those are the people who can be candidates for bariatric surgery. Yes.
All right, we do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask the doctor about carb cycling and metabolic confusion. Is there science behind that? Like a low carb day and then a really high carb day to so-called trick your metabolism? Is there any science behind that for weight loss? Or is that just another trend?
What was that again?
Yeah, so she was saying like carb, like diet cycling, I guess is what it's called. So one day it's super low carbs, another day high carbs. So you're trying to confuse your body by doing these cycles. But is it specific to eating carbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
They call it metabolic confusion.
Metabolic confusion when it comes to
the metabolism and Is there any science behind that? Like
yeah,
a
she's
low
wondering if there's any
carb.
science behind that.
Yeah, most of these dietary modifications or dietary changes that people describe are at best a pseudoscience. There is no hard evidence behind it. Like this, like you have keto diets, you have low carb diets, you have the Atkins diet. All those kind of diets, they are kind of fad diets which are not sustainable for a long period of time. Maybe you will be able to achieve, for a short period of time, you may be able to lose weight, but then you can't sustain it for a long time, and you get back to your old diet, and boom, yes, and you're back to your, or rebound to your original weight.
Yeah. And we're going to have some to the caller. I'm actually doing quite a bit of sort of self-study on intermittent fasting and restricted eating and stuff right now. And I've come across some very, very interesting individuals who are sort of in that area. And I do want to try to get some of them on the program, because I think there is a lot that we can learn about our diet. And I think there's a lot of things that over time we've also accepted as, this is good core information nutritionally and so forth, that, we now have some degree of indication that that's actually not true. So stay tuned. I hope to have in the coming months some of those individuals on the program as well. Thank you so much. So there is a lot of confusion out there about, dieting and nutrition and what kind of works and what doesn't work. And I think the best advice is really just moderation in most things, including your diet, So of course, we know the things that we need to cut out, sugars and, some degree of fat. But, there's no such thing as a completely fat-free diet. There are organs that require some fat in order to function properly. I think even your brain requires a certain degree of fat. So it's really all about trying to be moderate and sensible, introducing some degree of exercise into your program, into, just being consistent with that. But let's go ahead and invite Monica onto the program. Good morning, Monica. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Awesome.
Perfectly clear. Thank you so much.
Great.
So Monica, let me see if I can get the last name. Is it Adenikin? Adenikin. Okay.
Yes. Everybody gets it wrong my whole life. Yeah.
So Monica has gone through the bariatric surgery. So Monica, I want you to tell us a little bit about what life was like before the surgical procedure. When was it that you actually had it done?
I had it done May 12th, 2021.
Okay.
So just kind of in the middle of COVID life, which I got to be honest, COVID was actually a precursor to a lot of the reasons why it became very, very necessary. But definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right. So tell us a little bit about what was your weight, pre-surgery.
Okay. So, well, there's been so many weights pre-surgery, but my highest weight that I had gotten to post-COVID was 445 pounds. I had no idea I had even gotten that big, actually, but during that year of being inside, I definitely emotionally overate, and I cycled through, eating like 20 mangoes a day, because that mango season was incredible. So that was like a big thing. And, but also just like being super sad and anxious and not really knowing how to deal with it. I ballooned up to about 445 pounds. And at that time I had gotten like pre-diabetic. I had always had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is PCOS, which is a hormonal issue, which definitely impacted my weight gain over the years and inability to lose it the way that most people can. And like nobody ever really telling me like, okay, if you just stop eating sugar, you'll be able to have a baby and you'll be able to lose weight. Nobody ever told me that. They were just like, okay, you're barren, you're not going to be able to have kids now. And like, I was just like, okay. So I think a lot of me sort of gave up, especially during COVID. And I started Cayman Wine Fairies, and we had, we started to donate a lot of like wine and, stuff that was really snacky. And it was actually like ridiculous at one point. I was drinking like a couple of bottles of wine a day and like self-soothing in ways that were very gluttonous. And at the time I didn't really see it, because when you're trying to cope with, soothing yourself, you're not really thinking about anything except pacifying those feelings. And so I did that for quite a while. And then I woke up one day and I couldn't walk up the stairs correctly. And that was like a huge wake up call for me, but it still, it was crazy. I couldn't, like, my meniscus was torn, and I was having a lot of issues like walking up and down the stairs or bending over in the salon to get things, and people were starting to like pick up items off of the floor for me if they dropped and stuff, and I was like, okay. So one day like I had a friend and she was like, I think you should really go and get your knee checked out, like it's been about 9 months of this problem. So I went to Health City because I knew that I was going to get a great level of care, but also because I knew that their team is fantastic there. So I went to Health City and I had an MRI done, and they were like, nobody there was mean to me. And I think one of the things that you really deal with in being a plus size person is often being told that the reason why you're dealing with something is because you're fat. And so I automatically expected that that's what they were going to tell me. And they were like, actually, you're holding on to like 4,000 pounds of weight on your knee, at the weight that you are. And you're not going to be able to do anything to fix that until you actually make some changes. They never said this is because
so
you're fat.
the impact. Let me just understand what you've just said, because I think that's really important. So you were almost 500 pounds, but the impact on that particular joint, the knee, was the equivalent of like 4,000 pounds, essentially.
Absolutely. And when he broke it down to me like that and told me how much pressure and the compensating knee was starting to become weak as well, because I was focusing all my weight on that other knee.
Yep.
And I was devastated. So I walked outside of the MRI appointment and I had walked into the main foyer in the hospital there. And I looked up at the bulletin board and I was just talking to God about it. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Because he was like, you're only 39 years old. Are you going to really have like knee surgery that costs $70,000? Or, are you going to make some life changes? And at that moment, God was just like, it's time to make some changes. Right. And so I picked up the bariatric folder that was there and I started to read through it. And it was amazing because I had gone through the Weight Wise program in Canada before in 2011 when I went back home. And it was amazing to see that they had quite a similar program to what you would expect in that program. So I was like, oh my God, they have the therapy attached. They have dietitian, nutritionist, like they have all of these things that are very pivotal. If you don't have the mental health aspect covered, you're not going to be able to be successful at all. And so I loved that, like from the very, very, very beginning, from my original intake to the consultation, they focused on whether or not I had a support system. They focused on whether or not I actually had any real idea of how to diet before, and had I adopted like a really bad diet culture before, because if I looked at this like it was going to be a quick fix, it was not. Yeah. And it's a very big problem in the community because people want instant gratification instead of real success, right?
Yeah. So let me just ask you then, at what point in your life have you always struggled with your weight? So were you, a slim kid?
I was slim until I was about 18, and then they diagnosed me with PCOS. And that year I played sports. I played women's Premier League soccer. I ran track and field all my life. I was very, very athletic. And I think at the time when I was really diagnosed, I was probably maybe 165, 170. And I was 5'9", so I thought I looked great. And I remember actually they gave me like a hormone to try and make me spur having my periods at that point. And it was, I think, a steroid based hormone or something like that. And that year I gained 106 pounds within a year.
Wow.
And I ballooned up to a weight way over 200 pounds. I became very sedentary, super depressed and very lethargic. And I didn't understand the hormones and the depression and stuff all aided in all of that.
Yeah.
At that age, I was just like so sad. I was just like, oh my God, I can't have kids and I'm going to be fat. So that's how I felt for many years after that. And I think all of those things kind of compounded into me being this very loud, lively person who then wore my fat sort of as a blanket and a defense system against people, like if you didn't like me big, then you didn't have to like me at all type of thing. And I wore that mentality for a lot of years, and it was very tragic because as diet culture sort of changed and the acceptability of fat culture became a thing where you were like, okay, well, if you're saying something to somebody about what they're eating, then you're fat phobic, right? But for me, it would have been amazing to have people not bring me the cupcakes, but say, you know what, hey, maybe you shouldn't eat those, you know what I mean? And my husband was the actual catalyst for me to really see myself the way that I should see myself, because he was like, you present yourself very confidently outwardly to people. but you have a lot of insecurities. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, but he was very sure that he could see that in me. And so when he finally started to talk to me about my eating habits and the things that I was doing that were very gluttonous, I realized that if I wanted to have a baby or I wanted to fix any of the things that were wrong, I had to start within myself. And so I started the process and I went through the consultation. And the thing that was wonderful about Health City is that from the very beginning to the end, I had support, whether it was from figuring out my financial stuff and making sure that I had everything. They mapped it out so cleanly and so neatly, and like even somebody with ADHD and all these other things, you could focus and do the work. And so I did the work and I got the results. And for me, because the sleeve is so much less invasive, it doesn't usually garner the same results that the Roux-en-Y does. But I knew that I was going to do that. And I also knew that I was going to be successful no matter what, because I'm an all or nothing type of person. So, but very much so. So
yes,
I wanted to get the results.
Which probably hurt you before too. Like that. I've seen people. I was married to an all or nothing person. And when he was focused on diet and exercise, it was like cycling 80 miles a day and doing all this kind of stuff.
Ridiculous.
And then when he fell off that wagon, it was like, oh, I'm hanging out at Burger King, eating all the wrong things. And it was hard to rein it back in. So it's interesting though, Monica, how you talk about personality, even the fat culture. Like there's so many different elements to why people kind of end up where they are, right?
Well, and you even said it yourself about how you used to sort of fat shame people without really understanding it, right? And then you live in a body where you're kind of encased, where your spirit is different than the shell. You know what I mean? And who you are, even as you age, you still feel 20 even though you're 45, right? So imagine feeling like you're somebody amazing on the inside, but you just can't help what is happening on the outside. And that's sort of how I felt for many, many years, was like I was encased inside a shell of something that wasn't me. And I understand dysmorphia much better. I understand trans people much better. I understand that all so much better because of what I've gone through now.
And let me talk a little bit about the dysmorphia that you just mentioned, because one of the psychological things that happens to people who undergo bariatric surgery and they actually lose weight is when they look in the mirror, they still see the old them. Still see, the fat Monica, for better.
That's
more politically correct.
Yes.
Does that happen to you? I mean,
you're
a couple years out now.
Yes, it actually happened to me this week. I went to Jamaica with my husband to celebrate. We didn't actually do our anniversary or a honeymoon because of COVID and stuff when we got married. So we went to Jamaica for a week. And while I was away, I had brought a bikini with me. And, I was like, I'm just going to wear my, my sea pants over top of them and just, because I don't mind showing my top, but it's my bottom that's the issue. And so when I got to the beach that day, I actually ended up taking off the bottoms, and I was like, "Okay, babe, can you take a video of me or some pictures so I can see how far I've gotten?" Because I work out every other day, right? So I took some pictures and I was looking at myself and I was trying to find the parts that I hated. And there were so many more things that I loved this time. And I couldn't see old me the same way that I had all the way up until this point. And every single time that I look at a picture of myself from before, I see a difference in me that is so dramatic and so stark that I freak out sometimes. When I look at my old self, I wonder how I even allowed that, how I was that person and how I allowed her to exist. And my husband gets angry at me because he loved me then. So he always gets angry, like I'm saying negative things about somebody, or I killed her off. And I always say that she's dead, But the truth is that I had to kill her in order for this new version of myself to exist. Because old Monica, she was so unhealthy and her mental health was so far from where I am right now. And it's not because I'm skinnier. And I think a lot of people think, oh, well, you're happier now because you're skinny. Well, no, I'm happier now because my mental health is better. I'm happier now because I feel a lot less stressed out. I feel a lot more motivated. I have a lot more energy for the things like my business and my husband and my, and those kind of things. So I do think that changing the mental health aspect really was the greater part of it, because the physical stuff all came so much later. You know, it
Right.
was 3 months of like, and then 6 months of, oh my God, who am I? Then a year of like, oh my God, every day I looked in the mirror and I saw somebody different. It freaked me out. So now that I'm at a place where I'm stable and I'm maintaining, people would call that plateauing before, and they'd say, oh, that's a negative thing. And it's like, nah, in this journey to finally get to a place where I feel like I can eat certain things and I feel confident to go out to lunch with somebody without vomiting or something like that. Like, that's great for me. I'm excited every day. So I just feel like this journey is one where if you're looking for a short-term way to get to something, that's not the path at all. Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
At all.
So let's discuss a little bit, because I think there are a lot of misconceptions about the bariatric procedure. And of course, probably one of the biggest ones is that it's a cop-out. It's the easy way out. Because I've known people who've had this procedure.
Yes.
And I can tell you there's nothing easy. I mean, I'm like, nope, I'd rather walk, try to run on one leg, try to hit that pickleball, because there's nothing easy about this procedure. I mean, they had to go through a period of almost like a pre-fasting period leading up to the surgery. Yes. The surgery itself wasn't easy. It does create, certain side effects with your gastrointestinal system. So let's talk about the reality of
let's get into the nitty-gritty.
The things that people might not be aware of, but that they need to be aware of if they're considering this procedure.
So let's start from the very beginning, post-surgery. So the first thing is the gas.
Pre-surgery. What did you
pre-surgery.
Yes.
Okay, so pre-surgery, leading up to it, they were like, okay, Monica, like, I think because I was really, really ready, I kind of I bought everything in advance. I like went onto all the blog sites and I paid attention, right? So when I got into the space where I was ready to do it, I felt like a lot of people were really scared of the process of elimination. And that was very scary to me. I had about 5 food funerals. So I would like every week I'd be like, okay, this is my food funeral. I'm just going to eat everything that I'm never going to be able to eat again. And then my husband would be like, you're mentally ill. Like, stop having food funerals. So like, at that point, like I was really doing it a lot. And I had to like bear myself because it was going to be a few weeks of only drinking like Jello and water, right? And soup broth and bone marrow. Like that was a lot. It was a lot of this, right? And so I had to decide that was like, that not eating cake and not eating pie or patties and Pepsi or whatever is going to be more important. And so leading up to it, that was the hardest part, was steadying myself, but not really realizing that I was going to get to eat all of those things again. Like you really, like, because of the internet and misinformation, you really do have like a lot of people whose experience is very different than your own, and you're taking it for Bible and it's not, And so I did the liquid diet and I was actually really successful. So going into the surgery, I think I weighed about 419, which I was very excited about, because just even seeing those changes and losing 20 pounds was super motivating, right? And so I had done keto before. I was listening to you guys talk about all the diets and stuff. I'd done all those other things. And so this was the last resort for me. And so when I walked into the surgery that morning, the preparation was interesting because I couldn't have any rings, I couldn't have any nails, I couldn't have any nail polish, I couldn't have all those things. And all of that made me feel really anxious too, because you're being stripped down to your most vulnerable and you're giving yourself over without knowing if you're going to come out with a ruptured spleen or if you're going to even be able to eat anything ever again. Like I was just petrified for about 5 minutes, and God really calmed me down and was like, I brought you this far. I'm not going to leave you here. You're going to be okay. And so I walked into that, and coming out of it, I was like, okay, anesthesia, not my friend. This time I was just like, oh my God, I have a catheter. What is this? Like I was freaking out. It was too much for me. That was a lot. Like, but it was very momentary. And then they gave me some pain meds. The pain outside of the surgery, I think site incision pain was the most like prevalent thing that I can remember. But the gas pain that people talk about, that they're like, oh my God, it's so gassy, you're going to die. I didn't have all of that. Like that wasn't my thing until maybe a couple weeks after me starting to try and increase my water and all those kind of things. I didn't really feel that. But I started exercising, like getting up and walking from maybe 6 hours or 10 hours after my surgery, right? Okay. The hard part for me was getting in any water. So I was water adverse going into the surgery. And I don't know if anybody really understands that. Like they don't like the taste of water. People always need to have juice or something else. I was kind of like that going in. I could drink like 5 bottles of juice and 1 bottle of water for the day. Like that was my spirit. So getting to the point where I could drink enough milliliters, which you have to drink like 90 in a day. And I was like, I can only drink 9. I don't know what you're talking about. So that was really scary for me, because to not be able to chug something the way that you're used to being able to chug and all of those things, to get used to that was so crazy for me. And then like immediately not being able to sleep on your side when you go home and stuff like that. Those things, like site incision pain, having to clean my own like wounds and worrying about them being scars that are going to turn keloid and black, all those dumb, very vain things I worried about really early on. But immediately getting home, I realized that I was going to need like to have like some type of, you know, situation around me at all times, because if I drank something and it didn't sit right, or if I ate something and didn't sit right, it's coming right back up, right? Getting used to all of those things, eating slowly. Oh my God, they tried to teach me. They look, for months before my surgery, the whole team at Health City was like, Monica, chew slowly. Like you need to.
So you were a fast eater.
3 minutes for a whole meal. What are you talking about?
Oh
like,
my gosh,
I work in a salon. If you're not standing and eating, you're not eating. You know what I mean? So there was no way that I was ever going to be able to just sit down. For 30 years of my career, I've always stood and ate, or ate at the front desk really quickly, just swallowed a patty before I went to my next client. I had never prioritized eating correctly or sitting down and enjoying a meal ever, unless it was like a special meal. And in that case, you're just doing the gluttony thing where there's 45 different dishes and you're walking around to the buffet. It was very different for me to actually prioritize eating and being intentional with my eating as well. So like being purpose driven with that was something that was very interesting. Also, you will become sort of sensitive to things that you used to love, and you will hate things that you like, the things that you really used to like, sugary stuff. Oh, it becomes disgusting. Textures become very, very, very important, right? Being able to know that there's going to be a bathroom close is very important. I think that's one thing we don't talk about, is the embarrassing side of these type of surgeries, right? Which is like, like I had GERD. I started eating oranges because fruit was something I could eat right away when after my surgery, like I could get down fruit. So of course, dumb me, I'm like, oh, tomatoes, oranges, like I'm going back to my total, like, totally like going back. And so I started eating like those tiny like oranges. Gave myself GERD. So there was like nights when I'd wake up choking in the middle of the night, like I was going to die, and I didn't know what was happening. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. So then I changed my diet, made sure there's no chocolate, no acidic fruits, all those kind of things. And immediately it went away, right? But there's so many things that you set yourself up for fear of, like what's going to happen to somebody else would happen to me. And it's like, no, everybody's body is completely individual. The things you're walking in with as comorbidities or things that you're walking in with pre your surgery are going to change dramatically afterwards. So I walked in pre-diabetic. Now I can have a baby. I get my cycle every month perfectly. There's so many amazing things on the other side that the fear of it just kind of dissipates after a while.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the comorbidities, because this is where now people need to understand that carrying any amount of excess weight, but certainly when you into that, 35, 40 plus BMI. And by the way, do you know what your BMI was?
I think I was like a 61.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, it was the highest, I think. I don't think I was human. At that point, like they say that you're like super like obese, like you're like at like a different level. But because I've always been really massively strong and very tall, I think I held my weight different. So people would always say things to me like, I didn't think you were that big. Oh girl, I was definitely that big. I was a 6X. And when I got into a point of being 6X, I thought I was still sexy. I was still a baddie, you know what I mean? Like fat acceptance movement, right? So there were still things I could wear at 6X, so why not? Like, no, sis, sit down. Like, if I wish, I wish.
Oh my God.
Comorbidities are
I
a
want to
real
talk
thing.
about fat culture here in a little bit, but yes. So these comorbidities, high BMI, pre-diabetes. I'm surprised you didn't have diabetes.
I didn't. I was only pre-diabetic because I got that African blood, girl. So, Jesus was just watching out for me because I really should have been dead at that point. Like, who eats that much sugar? I probably had like a blood sugar level of like 600. I don't even know what it was, but I was at probably like 5,000 calories a day. Outrageous, not really realizing it because people don't realize how much a meal actually consists of in Cayman. The portion sizing here is enough for 4 people to eat easily. And so I was outrageous. It was retarded.
So
I love me some ackee and
joint
saltfish.
issues, torn meniscus,
badly.
like all of these things have an immense impact
high blood pressure,
quality of life, right? High blood pressure,
sleep apnea,
like stroke, potential heart disease, heart attacks early. There's a whole list of comorbidities that we, I think, as Caribbean people and just people in general need to be aware of. And that's why, I did the whole executive checkup at Health City. Knowing your numbers is so important. Knowing
Very
whether
much
you're
so.
pre-diabetic, knowing your A1C numbers, your blood pressure, where are you at with all these things,
Realizing that I had high blood pressure at 40 was crazy to me. I was like, what? I just thought it's because I walked from the parking lot. I was convinced they were crazy. I was like, no, it's just do it again. Just put the cuff on. When I was breaking the cuff open, I should have been like, that's a red flag. Like red flags,
Yeah. So, the most important thing really, why people get this surgery is to try to get those issues under control.
Absolutely.
Because those things are deadly. They will kill you without a doubt.
They will.
leaving
It's assisted
blood
suicide.
pressure
You're just
unchecked.
killing yourself slowly, and this process helps you to stop that process right away.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the fat culture a little bit, because I think it's so interesting. We've transitioned to, maybe at one point it was acceptable to question people like about their weight or to treat them differently. Now it's no longer acceptable, and the pendulum has switched totally in the opposite direction, where we have
It's very unhealthy.
Like famous people. I think like Lizzie, like she's such a
Lizzo.
Lizzo
Lizzo is a beautiful woman, but she's
beautiful,
presenting
but
herself
She's
terribly.
obese and she's overweight. But because we now live in a culture where nobody can be told the truth about themselves,
we're not allowed to say anything.
It's like, you're obese, but nobody wants to tell you, honey, we need to go and get this under control because you are obese and you're walking heart attack, you're walking stroke or whatever. So we kind of placate people into thinking, and we're raising an entire generation of individuals into thinking that it's okay to be obese. It's okay to be fat. Even using that word, like, oh, shame, Sandy, you shouldn't call somebody fat.
No,
but
absolutely.
This is a reality, I think, of where we're at right now as a society. Do you think, or would you have liked for some people to have been more honest with you about your weight?
I think it's interesting because my dad and my husband were the two people in my life who, at both points in my life, I needed to hear the truth from. And my dad was the first person who was ever really honest with me, because he could see that I had like overeating issues when I was younger, and he could see that I had gluttony issues, and I was going to be like my mom's side of the family. So he would say things to me, but it would hurt my feelings so much that I would overlook the message and just kill the messenger. And so in my adult life, my husband was the only person who had ever had enough bravery to be like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, stop it. And like, why are you doing that? And like, ask me real questions. And when I had to of course, I'm very defensive as a person. I think we all are naturally very defensive, and we want to like lash back at people when they hurt our feelings. But if I had to go back and look at it honestly, Sandy, like the truth is that I needed somebody to say something to me. One day, my husband, we were at a buffet, and one of my girlfriends brought me an entire plate of like pastries. And my husband asked her why she did it. And she said, you know how Monica is, she's going to snap those up and just eat it right now. And he's like, why didn't you bring yourself a plate of pastries? And she said, I don't eat sugar like that. And and my husband was struck by it, and he didn't say anything to me at the time, but he was so concerned about the fact that I had enablers in my life and people who didn't see that my addiction was actually killing me. They encouraged it, because fat black
and they
Monica
were bringing
was
it to
always,
you on a plate, like literally
life of the party. She's always bringing the food, she's bringing the energy, she's got I could drink like a sieve, like I could, like there was just nothing that my gluttony wouldn't allow me to do. And so they loved that part of me. And it's very interesting because in this conversation that we're having right now, every woman that I was friends with pre my surgery, I am not friends with now, right? And they all left my life. Every single one left my life. And it wasn't because I asked them to.
Hold on a second. You mean they weren't willing to enable you on a healthier journey?
No.
Like enable you to, eat healthier.
So me being successful and getting out of the box was very upsetting for people. And it wasn't until I went to therapy at Health City and they pre-warned me about it that I actually was able to deal with it, because mentally I don't think I would have been prepared to lose all of these women that I thought were my friends out of my life. Once I became physically different, or my business became more successful, those things became very challenging for those same people who accepted me at fat, at broke, at my blackest. They were right there, champion. But as soon as I became a little bit physically different, they were nowhere to be found at all.
So interesting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was the deepest thing I experienced in this whole entire journey. And it's something we don't talk about enough, but we absolutely should.
Wow. That's pretty deep. So let's talk about the support system. You've touched on it briefly here at Health City. You know, you mentioned how important it was for sort of all of the experts to be in one area. So walk us through some of the expertise that you took advantage of at Health
So
City during this
awesome. So
journey.
first thing from your intake, you get your therapist, you're assigned a therapist, a dietitian, a nutritionist, and you get a team of people who work with you, including the nurses who you all get to know. They know you by name, which is so awesome. Like you feel like you're going home somewhere when you come to see the team, right? Which was amazing. But from the very first day from my intake, so them like sitting down with me and asking me like, why are you doing this, right? And like you really having to search within yourself to answer the question, because part of you just wants to have the surgery, so you're willing to say anything to get them to let you do it, and the other part of you really knows that you need help, so you want to tell the truth about why you're there. And so from the very beginning, the therapy was, I think, the most important part for me, because it prepared me so much better than I would have been prepared. And also it gave me somebody to talk to about all those things that I had bottled up beforehand, and a way to like cope with those things and learn new coping mechanisms. And they asked me like, what are you going to do if eating is the thing you do right now? What are you going to do after, when it's no longer the way that you're able to cope? And I had to really sit back and think, like, am I going to exercise? Well, I don't like to exercise, you know, and I don't like that anymore. Fat me hated exercise. Now I exercise 5 days a week with a personal trainer, and I prioritize that. But I had to start prioritizing myself. And that was something I had never done before.
Wow. So it really is an entire lifestyle change.
Absolutely.
And the bottom line is you need people who are going to be there as a support system, even if they're not friends, they're professionals, nutritionists.
Yes, the nutritionist was very valuable, very valuable.
Yeah.
She
So
used to
all of
cuss
these
me
people
out.
to help you along the way.
Yeah.
So we have a few comments coming in. Alejandro says, you've got better friends on the way. Don't leave
God
your
bless
goal.
you.
Not everyone will understand. And this is, sometimes I say this here in this program, is not everybody understands your journey, and you don't need them to. You know, you've got to sometimes be comfortable enough in your own vision and your own self to just continue in that path no matter what. So Aliana says that's how it goes. It's the ones close who are sometimes pushing you to fail the hardest, but never there to pull you up when you do what they hate. So very, very interesting insight.
Absolutely.
Into
the biggest
that.
support that I received is from people on the outside.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely.
People who didn't even know you really well.
My clients, people who learned about my journey online, who had been watching my progress, those people have become my support system and my heart, because in Cayman, your family becomes your friends become your family here, you know, when you're an expat. And so being an expat here and having so many women in Cayman and so many Caymanian women reach out to me and be inspired by my story and become my support system. They think I'm their support system, but they're really truly mine.
Wow. Well, Irma says, tell her congratulations. She's beautiful. I know her journey. So lots of people definitely cheering for you. So where are you at now? And we've got a couple questions for the good doctor and Shamari as well. But where are you at now with, with your journey? You said you'd kind of, what goal have you reached?
Yeah. So right now I'm at about 196, but I haven't had any like plastics. I have had no like surgical intervention. So I have a little bit of like hanging skin here and there and some of my thighs. And I definitely know that after I have a baby, which is my goal. That's my major goal. So after I have a baby, I'm going to look into doing some skin tightening at Health City. Actually, I was on their website looking at their surgical intervention that they have for skin tightening and stuff like that. I don't really think that I'm going to go the route of like a BBL and getting my boobs done and stuff. That's not really my vibe. I really like having smaller upper body now, and I love being more physically active and all of those things. So my goal is to get down to 175. And I work out about 4 or 5 days a week with Leslie Chin at Performance Lab, and I love it. It's amazing. It's been the best experience of my life. Getting out and getting active and being more fit has been the catalyst to so many more successes in my life. And to be honest, it's the thing that's kept me maintained and motivated this entire time. So I am just so excited and grateful for the next part of the journey, because I know I'm going to get to my physically fittest, and then I'm going to be out at Badabanu shaking it up with you guys at KMAS and stuff. for the first time ever. So like those are the things that I'm most excited about right now.
All right. And how's the knee? Is the knee bad?
Oh my God, I can walk up and down the stairs again. I can run. Like I can do a lot of things. Like it's still a little shaky sometimes, but that's because of the tendon that's there. But honestly, I am so much better and I'm in so much better spirits. I have no PCOS. I have no pre-diabetes. I have no addiction to sugar. Those things were so amazing. And Health City gave me back my life. And I'm so grateful because I could have gone anywhere, but I went there. And the experience that I had was amazing. The team is amazing. The family environment there is amazing. From the anesthesiologist right on down to the nurses, it is amazing. And I would just suggest anybody who is scared, this is the one thing I want to say, because people always message me and say like, I'm scared of it. And I was scared for many years too, that I was going to come out of it mangled or that there was going to be something wrong or would be unsuccessful, which is the fear. The fear of being unsuccessful is the manifestation. And so I decided to take that fear and just put it all into this experience and do my best. And I have had amazing results. I've lost almost 250 pounds. And I mean, that's probably unheard of, you know, in the sleeve community. It's very, very, very rare. So I'm just excited. And I'm excited to be an inspiration and a motivation to other women in the community. I want everybody to reach out to me who has any questions, if they're concerned about what it's going to be like to go poo after or whatever the question is. There's nothing that is shameful for me. I'm willing to answer it all and to walk them through and mentor them. And I'm just so grateful and excited to meet Dr. Manoj as well as the rest of the team. And I'm looking forward to it all so much.
Yeah.
And I thank you for having me on this show to be able to inspire and talk to others today.
Absolutely. So Stacy says, I love her confidence. Miss Vanita says, Monica, a lot of people / friends, they're ex-friends now, left because of jealousy. Real friends don't leave you. So again, some words of encouragement there. So Monica, thank you so much for sharing a snippet of your journey with us. Really, really amazing to hear the success story.
Well, you guys are so awesome. I'm just so blessed that I could do it. You guys are great. I appreciate being able to share with you guys today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right. Again, folks, that's Monica. She is a bariatric patient. She's gone through it a couple of years now, and she's a bit on the other side of the process and sharing some of her personal experiences. And of course, we do have some questions now about how to get the procedure done. So one question is whether or not there's any sort of a support group. I don't know. I probably should have asked Monica this question, but Shamari, are you aware of any sort of support group for patients?
Now pre-COVID, I knew that there was one. I'll have to check just to see if it's still active or not. But there definitely was one prior. And the great thing is that we have so many success stories, just like Monica, that if persons want to speak to people on the back end, they can. And I mean, I can't recall if I've yet or not, but we probably should. Even our own Grayson McLean, who also lost, I think, close to 200 pounds based on the procedure as well, who works at Health City, is in charge of transport. He also is, I think, 4 years post-surgery and still a skinny mini. And so the good news is when you have the persons that would have gone through all of the psychological evaluations and we understood that would have the best probability of doing the things and having the lifestyle changes to be able to continue to live a healthy life. When you see them 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years afterwards, those are the best persons to actually speak to. So we make all of those people available for the conversations as well.
Yes. So Monica says there is a support group. So we'll try to get some contact details for the group, which we can share with you guys. Now, I'm aware that we're in a little bit of overtime, but, you know, we were trying to sort out some technical difficulties earlier on. So Shamari, another question for you is someone says that they want to get it done. They've struggled with being overweight their entire life, but unfortunately insurance won't cover it. So they're wondering what are the options in terms of affordability and, you know, what can they do? And I'm always surprised when I hear that insurance companies don't want to cover this procedure, because when they look at what they're going to spend on all of the other things for that person, whether it's knee surgery, bariatric knee surgery, you know, things related to being diabetes or diabetic, you know, all these other things, I'm like, why wouldn't you want to help someone get to that healthier point in their life? It's very, very strange, but some insurance companies seem to be very, very adverse to the procedure. So tell us a little bit about that part of it.
I think currently, I think Cineco is really the only one that will evaluate and outline whether or not they don't cover it for everybody, obviously. But if it's medically indicated and obviously would help to alleviate some of the diseases that you were mentioning previously, then Cineco would approve of it actually occurring. And just to note that when we deal with self-insured companies in the US, they actually do pay for bariatric surgery, but a lot of times that's because their employees stay with them for 20, 25, especially the manufacturing companies, 30 years. So they know if they help this individual now, absenteeism will be less, workplace productivity will be more. And on the back end, you're not paying for all of the major diseases because you've helped to alleviate it 10 or 15 years prior. So I know they do cover. But anyway, to get to your question, anybody who is interested can call us at 640-4040 or info@healthcity.ky. And obviously, for those that are going to be covered by insurance, we have a reduced self-pay price. And if there is need for additional payment plans and the such, that's something that on an individual basis we'll be able to work with the individual on as well.
Okay, so there's their contact information. And another person has a question about the stomach. So this is for Dr. Minaj. Can your stomach, and we've seen people who've gone through this procedure and who unfortunately have gained the weight back. So what happens to those individuals? Your stomach is one of those organs that can shrink and expand again, even after you've had something like the sleeve put on. I mean, the sleeve, I think, is a little bit different than what's called the Roux-en-Y. Roux-en-Y? Is that what it's called?
Roux-en-Y.
Roux-en-Y. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what happens to people who actually, sort of go backwards at some point in their journey.
Yeah. This can happen especially with sleeve because, as you said, stomach, can we tubularize the stomach and reduce, but over a period of years, it again increases in size to varying degrees. Not exactly, sometimes even it goes back to the original size. Once it goes back to the original size, the capacity increases, and so does the calorie intake. So there could be a rebound increase of weight almost to the pre-surgery levels. So happen, but then in which case we have to reevaluate and see if they benefit from another surgery, the revision sleeve, or maybe conversion to Roux-en-Y. Roux-en-Y definitely achieves a more sustainable weight loss over a long period of time. Yes.
And so this is why modification of behavior is so important. This is why you tell people this is not an easy fix, because you as the patient have got to do things pre-operative, post, during, and then post-operative to maintain the changes. And you are learning these healthier habits, like Monica was talking about how she was such a fast eater. And in fact, that's one of the sort of general recommendations if anybody's trying to lose weight, is to be a more mindful eater, slow down the process, because your stomach takes a little bit longer to tell your brain that you're full. So a lot of people who are eating really, really fast, your stomach told you 2 or 3 minutes ago, I've already had enough, I'm full. And you're still shoving it in and overeating because of the speed at which you're eating. So speed is one of those things, just being mindful, not snacking all the time. There's so many different factors, but the idea with the support system at Health City is, you're relearning how to think and the information that you have about good nutrition and health.
Just a little piece of information. The brain receives the signal that the stomach is full about 20 minutes later. So you put good 20 minutes, about 15 to 20 minutes to have your meal, so that your brain receives the signal that yes, you're full.
Oh my gosh, I knew it was a bit longer, but I didn't realize it was 20 minutes. That's a long time.
Yeah.
So Dr. Manoj, my wife has it right when Matthias is like, oh, I need more, and she's like, drink water, wait 15 minutes and come back and talk to me.
Yes.
The problem with the current, all of us face that we have to rush, and sometimes eat, so all you have is 5 minutes, and that's not enough. 5 minutes you may end up having 500 or 600 calories over a period of time. That's gains you weight.
Yes. And that's why part of mindful eating is to pre-plan your meals so that, even when you're in a hurry and you're in a rush, you've only got a certain portion that you're limiting yourself to. You're not mindlessly snacking on chips and healthy things. Like pre-plan, this is what I'm going to have when I do get my break. Yes, I'm going to be in a hurry, but I know I'm only going to be taking in so many calories no matter what. Use smaller dishes to have a smaller plate to put your food on. There's so many ways in which you can help facilitate portion control and caloric control and those sorts of things. But this has been an absolutely educational and wonderful program today, Shamari. Dr. Minaj, hopefully I've gotten closer to getting your name right throughout the program. Thank you so much for joining us
Sandy,
again.
Just to mention that when it comes to liver transplants and the such, when we're ready to talk about that as well, obviously Dr. Minaj will be the person that we'll bring back, just because he does so many other important things outside of obviously bariatric is important as well. That we'll definitely have him back on the program in short order when we start to talk about all of the other very important things that will be coming from Health City in the future as well.
Okay, wonderful. So there's lots of things that you can do to have good digestive health, folks. A diet, let's just run through a quick list. A diet that includes fresh fruits and vegetables, limiting or eliminating processed foods. So anything in a box or a can is probably not going to be your friend. Choosing whole greens or nuts, limiting red or processed meats, cooking healthier. So the method of cooking is extremely important, from baking and grilling instead of frying. If you're going to fry, make that air fryer your friend, because that can eliminate a good degree of the oils and so forth that you use. Drinking enough water. We all struggle. Trust me, the struggle is real. I'm here with you on that one. Trying to get regular exercise, proper stress management, because as Monica said, she discovered over time that a lot of her issues were in her head, psychological, mental issues that was causing the overeating and all the other things, trying to cope with the stresses of life. And the last one that I also have to admit that I struggle with is trying to get enough sleep. The night that I can go to bed before 1 or 2 o'clock is going to be a glorious night for me. But yeah, it's trying to get enough sleep, folks. I know when I'm coming down with something, because all of a sudden I'm crashed in the sofa and I can't move. My body forces me to sleep, but we shouldn't be getting to that point. We should be trying to maintain just a regular schedule of sleep. So thank you to Shamari for joining us today. Health City, Cayman Islands, Dr. Munaj Kumar. Manoj. I'm still not going to get it right. I would be the person just calling him Dr. Kumar. But thank you so much, Dr. Manoj, for joining us today. And I'm sure we will see him again in the future. And Shamari, again, thank you so much.
And before we go, just have to give a shout out. I heard you talking about Dr. McCanna Scott before.
Oh, yes.
Program that you're going to be live streaming. So proud Big Brother moment.
That's your sister.
That's going to be live streaming on Thursday, correct?
Yes, I think we're supposed to be live streaming it. We're still working out some of the details, but yeah, we're excited about that for sure.
I'm putting the pressure. You need to live stream it.
Yes, thank you so much. No, I'm excited about that. I was one of the participants in one of her.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah,
one of the
that she did.
interviewees.
Yes, absolutely. So exciting to see.
So
her
you helped her to
work.
get her doctorate. Awesome.
Yeah, she got her doctorate. Absolutely. So congrats to her. All right, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Have a good one.
For over 7 years, Health City Cayman Islands has provided life-changing and life-saving medical care for the people of the Cayman Islands at our hospital in East End. During this time, we have become an integral part of the community, and now, focused on connectivity and collaboration, our vision is to make an even greater impact on the quality of healthcare for the people of our islands. In summer 2022, we will open a 70,000 square foot state-of-the-art hospital built on 3 acres of land at the southern end of Camana Bay, bringing much-needed specialized medical services closer to where people live, work, and play. Camana Bay, located at the heart of 7 Mile Beach, is home to schools, businesses, shops, restaurants, and entertainment. And now, Health City Camana Bay, a $100 million world-class hospital. Health City Camana Bay will include an advanced cancer care unit, offering bone marrow transplantation and the latest cancer treatment technology. It will contain a modern neonatal intensive care unit, emergency and critical care, purpose-designed operating rooms for surgical specialties, such as cardiology, neurology, and orthopedics, and robotic operating systems. A master plan for improved health care for the people of the Cayman Islands. Ready to meet the needs of our patients here and now, we have already established a footprint in Camana Bay with the opening of our clinic. Offering short wait times, extended opening hours, including evenings and weekends, and the ability to see our world-class doctors closer to where our patients live and work. The clinic has bright, comfortable waiting areas and treatment rooms, friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics. Reflecting our operating philosophy of patient-centered care, convenient access to our specialist doctors allows our patients to focus on getting better rather than getting to appointments. With our unwavering commitment to our community and the thousands of patients who trust us to care for them, we look forward to building healthier communities in a place where life unfolds, blossoms, and thrives. Welcome to Health City, Camana Bay.
Welcome back to the program. We're going to have some open mic opportunity for the remainder of the show. Thank you guys so much again for joining us for that really, really important segment. You know, we've all got our struggles, folks. You know, it might be different for different people, but weight is the one thing that I think a lot of us do really struggle with at some point in our lives. So it's important to know what your options are and, you know, what you can do if you're at that sort of place in your life where you need some support, some medical intervention. There are options that are available to you. And, you know, it's a sensitive topic because, again, there's so many people out there who don't want to talk about their weight. You know, I see it all the time on social media where people are trying to say, oh, I'm fat and I'm happy. You know, and I'm looking at them going, are you really though? I mean, the fact that you even have to say it, that you have to put it out in the public, you know, stratosphere, if you will, that you're happy despite being fat or obese, or you're struggling with these issues and, you know, you're 300-400 pounds. I think the fact that you're having to publicly address it in the way that you do probably means that you're actually really not that happy with yourself. And so, you know, don't let society pressure you into finding the solution that is going to work for you or that's going to be ideal for you. You find what works for you. And if it's medical intervention, then it is what it is. One person just commented and say that so many people lie about their actual weight. Child, if you're like me, I don't tell people how much I weigh. No, honey, chill. But I am I'll call myself fat. I'm fat. Hello, I own it. And I need to take off a good 50 pounds, hence my 50 by 50 plan. Slowly getting there. But yes, I just, as a matter of fact, mentioned someone who was supposed to be doing that plan with me and said, hey, when are we going to get moving? And they're like, yes, I have to get control of the diet first. That's 80% of the challenge. It sure is. It's always the diet. The diet is key. But you know what? I feel like some degree of exercise, even just walking early on, will help as well. Like for me, once I start moving, I find that I'm feeling better and I want to do better with my diet. So it's kind of like, for me, they go hand in hand. So I try to focus on a little bit of both. I'm very moderate a lot of the times, I find, but I try to focus on a little bit of both at the same time if possible. So the other day, not this weekend, but the weekend before, I got out on the pickleball court. Thank you to my friends who have a pickleball court that I can borrow because I do not have one of my own. But, you know, I appreciated the opportunity to get out there with some people and child. Yes, we played for maybe like an hour and I was huffing and puffing. I was like, okay, run after that ball, honey child. You can do it. And it was hot. Oh, that sun. Oh, child, that sun will make you. Whew. So I got to get out there early in the morning. But, you know, even that, I felt so good the next day. Well, no, actually later on that day, I felt pretty good. The next day it kind of caught up with me and I was like, oh, I got to crash in the sofa right about now because you're not used to that level of exercise again. But, start slow, folks. That's the best advice. I'm going to start using that home gym that I got. Yep, that treadmill that's been calling my name, saying, Sandy, we're right here in the gym. Why don't you come on in? Lord Jesus, take the wheel. All right, we're gonna get it. We are going to get it. All right, let's see what's going on. So listen, last night was oh my gosh, this person, can I even read that comment on air, girl? You were so ridiculous. This person said, good morning. Unless I'm about to sit on your face, my weight is none of your business. I don't tell people my weight either. Girl, the visual just now, I can't even deal with that. Let me just quickly skip by that, okay? No, sir. All right, here's the thing, folks. What a hot mess. I can't even with you all. All right, so last night there was a little bit of excitement in the atmosphere, literally. People were messaging me saying, oh my God, Sandy, are you getting some messages about something that's going on in the sky? And I was like, in the sky? Like what? It's a full moon? Full moon madness? What are y'all talking about? I was like, huh? So I actually got a compilation video of something going on in the sky. People are like, oh my God, what is this? The aliens are here. Is it the Chinese balloon? It's a UFO. Something's going on. Something weird. And I was like, oh, Lord, really? So I was telling my husband, I was like, go outside and look in the sky. And he's like, what? He's like, if the aliens are coming, what am I going to do about it? Why are you sending me outside? Marlon is so crazy. I was like, just go outside and have a look. Like, I mean, you do it. And he was like, what? Oh my gosh. He's like, why am I being pushed to do this right now? Why don't you go outside? Maybe they want to abduct you. So I was like, I don't know. But it was crazy. So I'm going to show you guys some of the footage here in a second. People captured footage. There are people in Windsor Park. Was it Windsor Park? No. West Bay Road. There are people, Savannah area, people all over. We're like, look at this camera. What's going on here? This is so weird. And then the best video I saw, I'm going to show you guys here in a second, actually came out of DR. So of course, right away, I was like, okay, let me post it, see people know what's going on. And then of course we discovered that it was like, the satellites are up. Nothing really to worry about. And that was good to alleviate your concerns. Now imagine, right? 500 years ago, or even 1,000 years ago, or even just a couple hundred years ago in the night sky, you saw something that you could not identify, whether it was a comet, it was a lunar eclipse, a total solar eclipse. All of these things have happened over the years. And can I tell you that back in those days when people didn't have access to information and they didn't know what was going on, it must have been some of the scariest stuff that they would have ever seen. I can only imagine what they were thinking. Like legit. The earth is going to come to an end. There's an invasion of, I don't know if they called them aliens back then or whatever. But, they would have had all sorts of really weird things. Like, the good Lord is here to take us all sorts of things, folks, would have been going through their minds. But isn't it amazing now that we actually have available to us the information and knowledge to be able to just Google it or look it up and go, oh, okay, that's just the SpaceX or whatever the heck it's called, taking up satellites that they're launching. And there is your logical explanation and everything's fine. The aliens are not coming yet. And we are going to be A-okay. So let me just show you guys one of the videos. So this was the first one. I think this one I think was a combination of like traffic woes. By the way, 2 accidents yesterday in the Eastern District. Again, we suffering out here in the Eastern Districts, believe me, you reminded us of how horrendous the traffic is. I legitimately had people calling me on my phone saying, hey, what's going on with the traffic? Can you please tell us? And I was like, at that point, I hadn't heard anything. So I sent out saying,
what is that?
Here's this person. What is that? They're like, what? We're getting scared, honey child. What is that?
What is that?
That voice. What is that?
That launching.
That launching.
Going up.
Yes, sir. And then there was also, I think somebody said 2 planets are in alignment as well. Jupiter and I don't know, is it Jupiter and Saturn? Some planets are in alignment as well. And of course, that was also Jupiter and Venus are in alignment. So people are like, well, that I can identify those 2 planets, which are underneath this thing. I think they were aligned with something else the other day. There was 3 astrological things that were in alignment, the 2 planets and something else. But anyway, people were legitimately like, what is this? Yeah. Over there.
Let's zoom in.
She's trying to zoom in. The commentary to me is funny. No, sir. So yeah, people are like, I don't know what's going on. Listen, I need to find my box somewhere. I've got a one of those like telescopic things that you can actually put on your iPhone to make it like a telescope. And so I need to unbox that and actually use it, because on a night like this probably would have helped. But child, I didn't even go outside. I was like, listen, whatever is happening, if it's the end of the world, if it's aliens, whatever, I'm just going to be sitting in the comfort of my, first I was having my soup dinner. I was like, I'm going to enjoy my chicken soup. And then after that, I was in the office doing some work. I'm like, if they're coming for me, they're going to find me working, honey chill. Let me see here now. So yeah, so people were capturing it, but I gotta tell you, like I said, the best footage for me actually didn't come from Cayman. It was this one. Look at this. Is this not amazing? Look at how it is. This is allegedly from the Dominican Republic an hour before we started to see it and get messages. But look at how it was just so smooth into the night sky. Just absolutely gorgeous. I was like, wow, that is totally amazing. If you've seen, sometimes in Florida, we used to see the shuttle go up. I told you guys, I think, about my memory of being in the 7th grade and seeing the Challenger shuttle, unfortunately, go up in flames. But, on a good, clear day in Florida, we could oftentimes see these events. And, it was miraculous and interesting all at the same time. Folks, modern technology is truly something to just be in awe of. Like I'm in awe of it all the time. It's amazing. And so thanks for everyone who sent the footage. We were very, very pleased to be able to update people relatively quickly to say it was SpaceX Falcon 9 that took off from Cape Canaveral in Florida with a trajectory that made it visible in Puerto Rico and other parts of the Caribbean. The rocket was carrying 21 Starlink satellites. Isn't that amazing? Honey child, people out in space taking satellites with it. And so that was the SpaceX Falcon 9. So these are the Starlinks. Are these the satellites that will allow people to get internet access? Is this Elon Musk again? Is he up to something? So this made the news all over the place. Honey child, Dominican news had it up. SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket appears in the Dominican Republic. It was obviously a very beautiful and clear night. For them to be able to see it. Let me show you guys a picture. This picture is so pretty. So yes, it was Falcon 9 was launched in the state of Florida, and it's going to put 21 Starlink satellites into orbit, which is a high-speed broadband satellite internet system that can provide services worldwide. According to Marlon, he's waiting for service. He's like, that'll be my 3rd internet service provider, Starlink. I'm like, okay. So essentially this is the space.com states that StarX has permission to launch 12,000 satellites but has requested approval from an international regulator to launch up to 30,000 more. Is this a good idea? Are we going from destroying Earth to going out in space now, honey chill? And probably our expansiveness as the human race really does kind of concern me. But anyway, I guess the aliens are out there doing their thing, so we might as well join them, right? The company has explained that while most satellite internet services come from satellites orbiting at about 35,000 kilometers, the Starlink swarm is much closer to Earth, at about 550 kilometers, allowing it to reduce the time it takes for data to go back and forth between the user and the satellite. So Starlink actually announced its insertion in the Dominican Republic in July of 2022. So there you go. Lots of people were amazed looking up at the night sky and seeing it there. Pretty interesting. All right. So one person said that they saw it and they were like, what's her comment here? Give me 1 second. She said, poor me. I saw it and was not phased at all. Thought it was a plane. Honey child, a plane? Plane don't look nothing like that. Don't know what kind of planes you looking at, but not likely. So yeah, it was definitely something to behold. The other thing is, well, thanks for that sad news this morning, caller, viewer to the program. All right, the other thing is, somebody said this morning, I thought this was kind of interesting. They said they remember West Bayers. They said this reminded me of the story when the day Jesus arrived in West Bay. I was like, they said the mysterious light in the sky last night, the U.S. space shuttle, reminded me of the story of the day Jesus arrived in West Bay. And they say, well, your West Bay listeners might remember this. But it was when Mr. Carol Henderson arrived in Cayman's first car in West Bay. West Bay was trending, honey child. They had the first car. It was noisy, and with the mall roads, it arrived in a cloud of dust. And so people saw that coming, and they might have thought that that was some religious intervention, that they actually coined it the day that Jesus was coming. Because, you know, when we can't explain things as human beings, we latch on to all sorts of theories about what's going on. Tell you what, in December, I was watching some very interesting things on the History Channel about the potential of human beings having very early intervention with alien forces or alien beings and stuff like that. And they had some very, very interesting reasons why, like a language that to this day, we don't even know what the language is, that is shared. Like you find bits and pieces of it all over the earth. I mean, it is fascinating though. I'm just like, wow, this is just so interesting to listen to. So I don't know, honey chill. All right. Evelyn says that she was about to run when she saw it. Aliana says aliens are coming. Dean says modern technology equals knowledge at fingertips. It can, but then it also does mean a lot of misinformation at your fingertips too. And like I said before, the power and the strength of misinformation to me is so interesting. People just, they get a hold of something that's misinformation and they're like reading all of those, you know, the more misinformation they read, the more it pops up on their feed and the more of that they want to read, and they don't really do any research. It's like the whole GMO thing. Everybody's like, oh, GMO. And it's like, I think Soka said it best earlier. She's like, the very watermelon that you're eating. She says GMOs have been around forever. You enjoy those watermelons with no seed, that's GMO. It's like people have taken this concept of GMO made it into something really, really horrible, redefined it, and everything is like, oh, GMO is bad for you, yada, yada, yada. It's a whole lot of marketing ploy as well. And of course, all the food companies are like, oh, yes, this is genetically modified, that's genetically modified, and GMO free, and it's like, really? So many of the sustainable foods that we eat, the only way that we have corn, like the modern day corn, is because some form of GMO had to happen for us to be able to get that corn. And so it's just, to me, interesting how we have tried to redefine what GMOs are and what they do and what they don't do. And sadly, add a lot of misinformation in there. So when I said earlier that there's no genetically engineered wheat available in any country, and yet people say that over and over again, and they've accepted it as a fact. Well, my granny told me that was the case. Well, okay. But I challenge you to find that from a reputable source, and there's no way that you can find it. Right? Here's another reliable source. The grains of virgin wheat have never been hybridized or modified in any way. They're not genetically altered or genetically modified. So I don't know what y'all talking about, GMO wheat. I have no idea what that is. It's just really bizarre because GMO wheat is not approved by any food agency anywhere in the world. And it's not approved for commercial planting or anything like that. It's very bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. But we grab on to misinformation, and we love us some misinformation. Even COVID, honey child, the misinformation is still out there. I'm just here shaking my head. So corn is the most commonly grown crop in the United States of America, and most of it is GMO. So if you've ever had any corn in your life, you have had GMO. If you ate an ear of corn on the cob, whatever you want to call it. And basically the modification has been made to try to make it sustainable so that it's not eaten by insects and that sort of thing, so that it can actually go to harvest. I don't know. So of course it's used to make things like cornstarch, corn syrup, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, granulated sugar. So if you've had any of those things, potatoes, summer squash, apples, papaya, pink pineapples, all have been genetically modified. But what does the term genetically modified even mean? If you crossbreed crops to try to make them more sustainable, especially when it comes to insect penetration and that sort of thing, that's technically genetically modified food, because human beings have bioengineered that, and everybody's up in arms about it, and they don't even know what really that means. Soybeans, cotton, beets, So in 2020, GMO soybeans made up 94% of all soybeans planted. So if you eat soybeans, chances are you are eating genetically modified soybeans. GMO cotton makes up 96% of all cotton that's planted. The cotton that makes you clothes and everything else. 92% of corn, GMO corn. In 2013, GMO canola makes up 95% of the canola planted, while GMO sugar beets make up 99.9% of all sugar beets harvested. So there's really nothing, if you've ever had sugar beets, there's no, practically 99.9% is GMO. Yep. So there's quite a bit of information if you want some accurate information. Most soy, for example, grown in the United States is GMO soy. It's used for food for animals, predominantly poultry and livestock, and making soybean oil. It's also used for ingredients like emulsifiers, proteins, lecithin, and processed foods. Cotton, again, GMO cotton is created to be resistant to the bollworms and helped to revive the Alabama cotton industry, which was dying because of the worm invasion. So GMO cotton not only provides a reliable source of cotton for the textile industry, it's also used to make cottonseed oil, really, which is used in packaged foods and in many restaurants for frying. GMO cottonseed meal and hulls are also used in food for animals. The potato. Y'all love a potato? Yeah, some GMO potatoes were developed to resist insect pests and disease. In addition, some GMO potato varieties have been developed to resist bruising and browning that can occur when potatoes are packaged, stored, and transported, or even cut in your kitchen. While browning does not change the quality of the potato, it often leads to food being unnecessarily thrown away because people mistakenly believe that browned food is spoiled. So some of the modification is because, again, y'all are misinformed. So they're like, okay, let's keep it that kind of white color so that if it doesn't brown, people will just continue to eat it because there's nothing wrong with the actual potato. Papaya. In the 1990s, ring spot virus disease had nearly wiped out all of Hawaii's papaya crop, and in the process almost destroyed the papaya industry completely in Hawaii. A GMO papaya named the rainbow papaya was created to resist ring spot virus. This GMO saved papaya farming on the Hawaiian Islands. GMO squash is resistant to some plant viruses. So squash was one of the first GMOs on the market, but it is not widely grown. GMO canola, used mostly to make cooking oil and margarine. And canola seed meal can also be used in foods for animals. And canola oil is used in many packaged foods to improve food consistency. And of course, most GMO canola is resistant to herbicides and help farmers to easily control weeds in their field. Alfalfa. Y'all love to talk about all the healthy stuff, right? So you act like GMO wheat is a thing when it isn't. But guess what? GMO alfalfa actually is. Pay attention now. Y'all get an education here today. So GMO alfalfa is primarily used to feed cattle, mostly dairy cows. And if you drink milk, there you go. Most GMO alfalfa is resistant to herbicides, allowing farmers to spray the crops to protect them against destructive weeds that can reduce alfalfa production and lower the nutritional quality of the hay. How about GMO apples? So there's a few variety of apples that were developed to resist browning after being cut. This helps cut down on food waste, as again, many consumers believe that brown apples are spoiled. Y'all know that's true. Who when you cut an apple and you leave it out and it starts to brown, y'all don't want to eat it. Even my daughter's like, oh, that's no good. I'm like, it's perfectly fine. Stick it in your mouth. It tastes good. Sugar beets, which are used to make granulated sugar. More than half of the granulated sugar packaged for grocery store shelves is made from GMO sugar beets. Because GMO sugar beets are resistant to herbicides, growing GMO sugar beets helps farmers control weeds in the fields again. We got the pink pineapple, and we have more than 95% of animals used for meat and dairy in the United States eat GMO crops. Independent studies show that there's no difference in how GMO and non-GMO foods affect the health and safety of animals. The DNA in the GMO foods do not transfer to the animal that eats it. This means that the animals that eat GMO food do not turn into GMOs. If it did, an animal would have the DNA of any food that it ate, GMO or not. In other words, cows do not become the grass that they eat, and chickens don't become the corn that they eat. So I'm happy to share some of this accurate information with you. There's lots of good information about GMOs, folks. It's really just, making sure that you get out of the mode of everything being a conspiracy and really understand the history of genetically modified foods. It dates back thousands of years. thousands of years, long before you were here. Okay. Everything from the tomatoes to prevent the breakdown of tomato cell walls, extending shelf life. There's tons and tons of products. Yeah. All right. Good. Goody. All right. Avril, good morning. How are you? Banana GMO, says Mark. Starlink Flashpoint says is an excellent option for internet access if you have a clear view of the sky. I have had no problems. When it reaches Cayman, the local ISPs will be obliterated. You know what, Flashpoint? I mean, like I said, there'll be forerunners of this. My husband he's already like pre-signed up or whatever. So he's definitely going to be one. Does that mean we're going to give up Flow and Logic? No. I mean, I need them both already to just try to make sure I've got redundancy in place. When we've got a storm or other things, when Starlink might not be working, you better have your Flow connection still clicking, honey child. And then I don't know how fast it's going to be in terms of internet speeds, upload, download speeds. Like, what are we talking about here? Irvlyn says that she doesn't trust Elon Musk. The man is shugs for Trumpitis. What is shugs? What am I missing here? But yes, I mean, he is a little bit unstable, would be the nicest word I could use to describe him. And unfortunately, what's happening now with anything that Elon Musk touch, it's going to be tinged with a bit of, how involved will he be in the process, and how much do we have to worry about the craziness of it all when it comes to Elon Musk? Like, seriously. It's just a little bit weird, but he's a little bit unhinged. Like, I think he suffers from some sort of clinical bipolarism or something. I don't know if he's been diagnosed yet, but I mean, he's kind of all over the place. He would be great if he just focused on his core businesses, but his brain is not, like I said, I don't know if it's bipolar, if it's a severe case of ADHD, I don't know, but he definitely has something that is not quite there. So apparently he was dethroned as richest person in the world. According to Bloomberg, he's back on the top again. He's seeking to create a rival Chat GPT. So it's like he just jumps and gets involved in stuff that really kind of makes you wonder. The tweets. This headline says that Elon Musk reportedly had his own tweets prioritized out of jealousy. Lord Jesus, the man is just different. Tesla has been having some issues recently with some recalls and stuff. I don't know. Twitter not making a profit yet and not paying their bills, by the way. So apparently, listen to this lawsuit just filed. Twitter owes company, my apologies, $7,000 for whiskey, cheese, and socks for Elon Musk, and he's not paying his bills. So he wants to live this amazing lifestyle, but refuses to pay for it. So apparently, the allegation is from this lawsuit, which was filed last week, that Twitter stiffed a marketing firm $7,000 for a swag gift box for Elon Musk that included a $689 Japanese whiskey and a branded cheese board. This is what the lawsuit claims. And he's not paying. I mean, that sounds more like a personal bill, but apparently, he stopped paying his bills in September. Twitter stopped paying their bills in September, and he received this gift box and he refuses to pay for it. They said that they've worked with Twitter for a decade on promotional items like branded T-shirts and so on. And in this lawsuit that they filed in California, they said that Twitter stopped paying its bills in September of 2022. And so now it is suing Twitter in January for breach of contract, claiming that the social media giant owed it more than $390,000. And part of that was a bill for $6,783.99 which was sent to Twitter's San Francisco headquarters in September for Elon Musk. And a copy of the invoice was included in the court filings. And basically they said this dude is not paying his bills. You can imagine being the wealthiest man in the world and not paying your bills. $250 worth of cheese, a bottle of Nikka Japanese whiskey, space-themed merchandise. There you go. Referencing Musk's passion for space exploration, including an engraved rocket-shaped cocktail shaker and moon ice mold. My God, this dude is something else. So this is not the only bill that he hasn't been paying. Apparently, he stopped paying rent on the location where Twitter is. And there was some other article recently about him not paying some other bill as well. And all of this really is putting people at risk, right? So you don't turn a company around that has never been a profitable company by not paying your bills. Is that the formula? If you and I did it, average Joe Schmo, my gosh. Well, he's getting hit by lawsuits too. So I guess there's that. So he's been hit by at least 6 lawsuits by different companies for failing to pay his bills. Everything from Blueprint Studio, which apparently has an outstanding invoice for $340,000, including tax for a canceled event. AI software company Writer Inc. says that they're owed over $220,000 for subscription fee. Let me see who else. So there's a website called PleanSite that it's a public records database that gives you legal and public records, so you can get to see exactly who's being sued. I love America, boy. You can find out anything and anybody. Yes, sir. There's another firm called Innisfree. They filed a lawsuit against Twitter for an alleged non-payment of nearly $2 million. Analysis Group, which provided litigation-related consulting to Twitter and its counsel prior to the Musk deal, filed their lawsuit for a non-payment of over $2 million as well. The private jet company that he uses also suing him. Wow. Plus he's getting sued by employers, left, right, and center. So I don't know what his real plan is. But you know, the likes of Bill Gates is like, this guy is an idiot. He's not a great philanthropist like he wants to claim. He's trying to go to Mars. Why doesn't he help people here on Earth first? Is what Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has basically said. So Slack, I think this is the one that I saw. So Twitter employees have lost access to Slack as Elon Musk decides not to pay the bill. So Slack is like a chat tool specifically designed for corporations. So when you're collaborating and you're working in teams and stuff, you use things like chat. Another progress tracker called Jira was also mysteriously shut down for several employees as well. So here's the crazy thing, right? He is not paying these bills and it's impacting his employees' ability to even communicate with each other, collaborate, and get their work done. He claims that he's cutting expenses and trying to boost revenue. But if your team, you don't, of course, he doesn't tell them any of this stuff in advance, right? So this is such poor leadership. Like, who cancels a subscription for something and don't say to your staff, okay, this is what we're doing. We have to find an alternative first so we can communicate with each other, still work on projects, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't do any of that. He just doesn't pay the bill, cancels it. And then staff try to log in one day and it's like, oh, your bill hasn't been paid. That's how he operates. To me, that's not good management. That's not a good manager. That's not someone who has good leadership. I know some of you like this dude, but he seems very unhinged to me. So of course, already we know that more than half of its global workforce has been laid off, given up office space, and he's even auctioned off office supply items. Did you guys see that auction about a month or so ago? He was selling everything up in there. And now they're looking at subscription-based software to try to save money. And they're letting go of the chat tools, Slack, and others. What a mess. So the report says there was no way to chat and no code to ship. So most engineers took the day off. How productive is that? And how do you expect to make money if your engineers and others can't even get to work? It just seems so counterproductive to what I think he's actually trying to do. But we'll keep an eye on it. If he fails, how many of y'all have Twitter accounts? Who's going to be impacted? I don't know. Aliano says, yep, these Elon little spy satellites going up, looking out, something big going on in Ukraine too. Alejandro says, more freedom of speech platforms. Thanks, Elon. The irony of that, the man who talks about he's all for freedom of speech, but he has actually shut down more accounts and muffled more people in their freedom of speech on Twitter than anybody else. Pick the sense from the nonsense, Alejandro. This man ain't got no sense. And he says one thing and he does something else. Y'all have to stop listening to what the man says and look at his actions. Is he really for free speech? Are you sure about that? Are you sure? I mean, really? Because I don't think so. Here's an article in the New Yorker, says what Elon Musk doesn't know about free speech. Oh my God. Here's The Economist. Elon Musk's $44 billion education and free speech. Ooh, I love The Economist. Very high level reading, but it's worth a read every once in a while. So he says that Elon Musk is 2 months, this is in December, so now it's a few months later, running Twitter has been an unhappy experiment. The social network's 250 million users have endured a wearying saga in which Elon Musk is a central character. And this shouldn't be the case when you're running a company like Twitter. Like he shouldn't be the center of attention. You know what I mean? It's not about him. But anyway, advertisers have fled. Twitter has lost about $221 million in 2021. It's now on track to lose $4 billion a year by one estimate. That's a lot of dough. 221 million was a lot. That was before he took it over in 2021. Now he's looking at a loss of $4 billion a year, potentially. Even if it's half of that, that's a whole lot more money than $221 million. Oh my God. Here's the crazy thing. The damage has spread to Tesla, which is Musk's car maker. Part of the reason is that it has lost $500 billion in market value since early September, costing his title as the world's richest man, which now we know as of this morning has been replaced. It talks about, again, his craziness. 1 minute, he's like, nope, somebody else needs to run the company. Another minute, oh, he needs to run the company. Like he can't even make up his mind about what it is that he wants to do. And of course, his concept of free speech is free speech if I like it. If I don't like it, then I'm going to block you, and it's not really free speech. So I don't know. That doesn't quite sound like free speech to me. Anyway, it's a hot mess. Elon Musk is a hot mess. We'll keep an eye on him. He's another, what's the other crazy one's name? Oh gosh, what's his name again? The one that was married to Kim Kardashian. Him. Kanye. Yay, whatever the heck he's going by these days. Thanks for that information, celebrity news. Mark says, Saving Private Ryan's Tom Sizemore's family is deciding end of life matters. How old is he? Is he that old? Well, I mean, end of life can come at any time, honey child. Morning to Miss Avril. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Alejandro. Mark says, Sandy, you almost forgot most Caymanians are GMO since 1975. Oh Lord, okay. I can't even. I cannot even with you. Yes, sir. Oh my God. Somebody says Elon Musk is batshit crazy. I'm in agreement. I meant to say suffering from anxiety. Evelyn, I think I might have missed. Trumpitis. What is this one? Okay, so I'm just trying to read through some comments. So Flashpoint says I'm getting 150 megabytes from my Starlink connection, and it works well even when there's heavy rain. Those people that can get away with just one internet connection can be happy with the Starlink option. Yeah, I'm going to need more than one. And to be honest, that's 150 megs on the download. What are you getting in upload? Because for me, upload is actually really, really important. So I have like 500 on the upload. So if you're only getting 150 on the download, you're probably not getting more than that on the upload. So upload is probably maybe half that, if not less. So for me, that's not really going to work. Like I am a high-end user in terms of like internet speed and capacity. So Vernice says that Elon Musk is laughing at us. For now, he might be. We'll see. I don't think he's going to stay in that position for long. Evelyn says, I'm not surprised. Whose camp is he coming out of? Rich people's problems. Good morning. Estrella says, I feel great having a $200 CUC bill listening to this morning's topic. Child, it drops with the weather, obviously, and the gas prices have come down a little bit. I told y'all I got me a little hybrid vehicle, honey child. So the other day I had to go fill her up in gas, and I'm saving, I must admit, quite a bit. Of course, I think that was the height of the gas prices, but I mean, I was pushing probably almost double because the engine size of my previous car was kind of big. Now, you compromise on luxury and automatic seats and certain things, I have to admit. But if you can compromise on those things, I guess you're saving money at the gas tank, honey Jill, and helping the environment a little bit. And it saves me like, I fill up like maybe 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. It takes forever for me to have to fill up again. I feel hungry today. Am I the only one that's hungry? I don't know why. I'm feeling a bit famished. So I was doing the intermittent fasting thing. I told y'all I started. The first week actually went really well. I've been doing a lot of research about it. And apparently you shouldn't do it every day. So I'm taking weekends off. So weekends I don't intermittent fast, but during the week. This week is a little bit off because of my surgical procedure. So what I'm doing is I'm adjusting myself back down to midday. So I was doing midday to 8 o'clock as my eating window. And then, outside of that, I'm not eating. But I noticed that yesterday and this morning, I feel really hungry. Like I was fine the first week. Like I was actually able to go to midday most days without really even noticing it. But I'm feeling really hungry today. So I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm not chewing on one side. And then yesterday I didn't really eat a whole lot, to be honest. So sometimes you got to watch. Like I had some soup for dinner. And what did I have earlier? Oh yeah, I had some chicken for lunch. So I think I needed some fiber. Like I feel like I need more fiber. Okay, we need to put me on an electric bike. Ooh, honey child. You know what I should do one day? Oh my God. We're not there yet, Mark and anybody else, but I'm going to start walking hopefully this week as well. I got to make sure I do my stretches and stuff because, my poor feet. But one day I should cycle through the entire show because I have a bike in the gym. Can I tell y'all about this gym of mine? Y'all are not going to believe it, but I have a gym that would probably be the envy of some of y'all who need equipment, but it's not even getting used. Caller. Uh-oh, hold on. Oh, I think the person's trying to video call. I don't think I can video call. Okay, hold on. Not a video call, but you can straight call. Let me see. Oh, somebody wants me to talk about this. Yeah, no video calls. Oh, you can straight call. So somebody says that someone says, good morning. I see Brandon appeared in court yesterday. I really hope he's being held without bail. Hope so. That's Brandon Beckett. But I just got a notification that the airport no longer is in Newlands. It's in town, and they were charged at $8.20. What? Oh. Someone is looking for their AirPods, and apparently they have the AirPods locked. And so it's geo-tracking the AirPods for them. So they just sent me a message saying, morning, the thief is on the move with my AirPods. I got a notification. The AirPods is no longer in Newlands. It's in town, and they were charged at 8:22 a.m. this morning. Here's the thing. This person has this on lockdown. Folks, whoever has this AirPod, you are not going to be able to use it. It's like now trying to steal an iPhone. You can't get into it unless you have the original information for the iPhone. So save yourself the hassle. Just go turn the iPods in to the police station or somewhere else. Because charging them all you want if you're never going to be able to use it is stupid. Okay. So I would suggest y'all just turn in the AirPods. My goodness. I don't know. Why do y'all steal something like that anyway? Who wants to put their ears? This is what I don't get. I mean, I know they're, I guess, somewhat expensive, a couple $100, whatever. But you think I would stick something in my ear that was in somebody else's ear? To me, that's so nasty. That's like almost the equivalent of wearing somebody's underwear. I don't do certain things. Like, if you want AirPods that badly, go save up for some. But there's something inherently wrong with people who do stuff like this. Yuck. No, sir. Oh my God. So the AirPods were seen in Newlands. Looks like they're off of School Road now, honey child. They were seen in Newlands, I think it was last week. And now the person, I hope they didn't go sell it to some unsuspecting person who thought now they purchased AirPods that they can actually use. Don't be fooled by certain things. All right, so someone said, please speak about the audacity in the Women in Cayman group about scholarships if you haven't already. Oh, Lord. All right, let's talk about this briefly. I got limited time. So someone sent this message. Some woman, I'm not going to show her name because I don't know what's wrong with these women in this group. Like some of them say stuff, and it strikes me that they are truly clueless. Because, there's a lot of Caymanians in this Women in Cayman group. And a lot of Caymanians are just there for the ridiculousness that they see on a regular basis in this group. They don't even like the group. But they just are there making observations, yes? And so they're forever sending me stuff. I think I'm actually still in the group, but like I said, I hardly participate in the group. I just don't have the time. And if something's really popping off in the group, somebody's going to send it to me anyway. So here's what this person said. I'm going to show you guys this because, of course, Caymanians, including myself, had to raise an eyebrow when I read this yesterday, thinking to myself, come again? Repeat what you just said. All right, hold on. Let me share this one with y'all because y'all I mean, sometimes I can't believe my own ears or my own eyes when I see this stuff. 1 second here. Let me pull it up. So this person says, this is the question that they posted in the Women in Cayman group. Hi, WIC. I was just wondering what scholarships are available to children who are not Caymanian, but whose parents have PR. I know the scholarships are geared towards Caymanians, which is amazing. However, what do children who go through the entire school system here but aren't Caymanian have available to them? Okay. Well, the short answer is there's lots of private scholarship options. I don't know that they're all for Caymanians. There are probably some that include PR people. And I hate to say it, but obviously we're giving people PR probably on a number of grounds that makes you question why, because, you know, they're not even in a position to try to sort out a child's education. They're obviously talking about university education, right? Here's the thing. You know what most of us have to do with our kids? I mean, you've got government scholarships. There's some private sector scholarships. But there's only so much in the kitty. Most of us have to start saving from like now, when they're like 5 years old, towards their education. Has this woman not been saving for her kids' education? That's why I only got one, because I can only afford one. I mean, honestly, I can't afford no more than that. Education is expensive. Even before you get to college is expensive, you know? So couple options for you, lady. Have your children excelled academically? Because there are academic-based scholarships that are open to people, regardless of their immigration status. Have they excelled athletically? Because, you know, if they got an athletic gift, anything, squash, tennis, racquetball, probably even netball, somebody out there has scholarships available to them. Where are you from? I'm curious to know where this woman is from, because if you are someone from somewhere else, which it sounds like you are, what I would suggest is send your kids back home. Like if I were an American, even though I had PR in Cayman, I wouldn't be looking for a scholarship in the Cayman Islands. You still have American citizenship, don't you? So what you do is you send your kids back to the good old United States of America, and you have them apply there for a scholarship. I'm just saying, you got to use your head, and all parents have to do this, honey child, right? So send them back to the US, a US-based school. If you're Canadian, make them go back to Canada. They can probably get it for free. And that's just, you know, how it works. Those are the things that you got to do. So think outside the box, honey child. I can't tell where she's from. I can't actually tell where she's from based on, let me see if I can get any indications from social media, because people reveal a lot on social media. So I don't know where you're from, honey child, but you know, look at those options available to you from your home country. Because remember, I'm willing to bet in 99.999999999% of the cases, you are a citizen of that country still. So, yes, that's what I would suggest to you. Just send the kids back home to granny. And sometimes there's a residency requirement, like 6 months or whatever. So send them ahead of time so that, you know, they can put in that requirement and get in and pay in-state tuition and whatever else. Where there's a will, honey child, there is a way. So not knowing exactly where she's from, you know, that would be the best advice that I could give you. You know, a lot of Caymanians look at this question, they go, even the question makes them scratch their head. They're kind of like, huh? Are you serious? Lady, Can Caymanians not have anything reserved for them? I mean, I appreciate the way that she has asked the question, which I thought was somewhat respectful. I mean, I don't think she's trying to be disrespectful in any way. But, you know, Caymanians get perturbed by people even asking the question. I'm just telling you all the God's honest truth. Good morning, caller. Welcome to
Good
the
morning,
program.
Sandy.
Yes,
Good
sir.
morning. So, quick question. They want a scholarship, but yet the child goes to private school paying $1,500 a month or $1,200 a month.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming the child has been...
not... Well, if the child is non-Caymanian and the mother has PR or the father has PR or whatever, they're going to be going to private school.
Well, remember I told you that is not a fast rule. Kids can, even, you know, kids who are not Caymanian technically could go to government school if they wish to do so. But let's assume that the child has been in private school for the sake of argument. Yeah, maybe they waste all their money, or used up all the money. I shouldn't say waste, but used up all the money on primary education, and now it's time for the tertiary stuff, and they can't afford it.
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is, like you said, save up, right? I mean, if you're spending well over $15,000 a year on your child, you better make sure that when you're spending your money, you need to get returned back for your value or for your money. So that child better have the best education coming out. You know what I mean? And if they're from the U.S. or whatever country, the U.S. has, if they're an American citizen, they will have a really good academic where they could get scholarship, or if they're from Canada, they get really good education. Canadians mostly get a really good education in regards of education for their value. There's a lot of Caymanians have been to Canada for studies, and their studies in Canada is a little bit higher mark than what it is in the U.S. You know what I mean? So, I mean, what is there left for Caymanians to get if they get everything else? And second of all, when you're talking about Elon Musk, think about, I don't know if you heard about the company called BlackRock.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Google BlackRock. BlackRock basically owns majority of all airlines. They own basically majority of all pharmaceutical companies. Their hands are basically in every single thing. So if you Google BlackRock, Elon Musk is nothing compared to the company called BlackRock. And the guy who's the CEO of BlackRock used to work for another financial company, which got fired after losing, I think it was like $60 million or $100 million. And he opened his own company called BlackRock. BlackRock basically runs everything right now. His hands is literally, but you will never hear about BlackRock. So I want you to look at BlackRock and to see the amount of companies that BlackRock own, and you would think that Elon Musk is something. Elon Musk is nothing compared to BlackRock. Second of all, when Elon Musk got rid of most of his Twitter employees, when he got rid of most of them, including the CEOs and everybody else that he had got Twitter, I know Alejandro was talking about freedom of information.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. If you look right now, former Twitter employees are right now in front of Congress because they had secretly FBI's. They had at least 8 or 9 FBI's working with them to suppress a lot of the information that was coming out. And I cannot make that up. Right now they are in Congress right now, being beaten half to death. Because they were held back a lot of the information that they were told by the U.S. government and other governments around the world. And the FBI was there to ensure that they repressed most of the information that was coming out. And anyone could Google Twitter former employees on YouTube, and you'll see the Congress. They're still in the front of Congress right now, being reamed out. So that's one of the things, because I posted most of that up on my TikTok account. But yeah, they're right now, the former Twitter employees had at least 8 or 9 FBI agents working for them. They were saying former employees of the FBI, but you do not leave from the FBI agency to go work for Twitter. So they were there. So there's something for you to look at. And Sizemore, he actually had a brain aneurysm. That's what I was trying to tell you. So he had a brain aneurysm. He was working on a couple of movies that he was doing a movie with. He was actually going to work on a movie with, what's the guy name? Oh my God. I had it in my head right now, but he was working on a movie with the actor that, God, I can't remember his name now, but he was working on a movie and he was doing a pilot. And he just had a brain aneurysm, and he's 61 years old. So,
wow.
yeah. So that was it. They were trying to say
Sad.
that he died, but he's not. He had a very big brain aneurysm. So, if anyone hasn't seen it, he was in Private Ryan and a couple other movies as backed up actor, but he's a really good actor. So you guys can look at it. But that's one of the things. Look up Black Rock, and you can see that. And I'll leave you at that.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much. So yes, just having a peruse of this young lady. It looks like she's American, actually. So listen, I'm just educating y'all. When you post things like this, I'm just telling y'all how Caymanians feel about the situation, right? Caymanians are saying, listen, we're being encroached upon in so many different ways, every which way, on the job, in educational environments, the availability of spouses and husbands and wives and everything. I think it comes with a smaller population. These are some of the concerns that people have. And when you start saying, well, how am I to get a scholarship, here in the Cayman Islands, they're like, say what? Come again? What are you trying to say, madam? This person says, want to use and abuse their entitlement on the Cayman Islands for their benefit, Indigenous Caymanians first. So FN, tired of these FN expats raping this country. You figure out what FN stands for. Oh, somebody talking about they have an issue. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, we'll talk about that after the show. Oh, what a hot mess. So yes, it's just, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't understand it by now, it's becoming more and more difficult to explain to someone. If you've lived here for 5-10 years and you've got PR, that's fantastic. But if you don't understand how even asking that question can be like interpreted a particular way by Caymanians, you probably haven't really immersed yourself in the local population. That's all I'm saying. Caller, what's your take on this?
Oh no, this is completely irrelevant to the subject.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about the AirPods?
No, about the traffic thing. This thing about in traffic, there's a little cutoff where the parking lot is across from the Seventh-day Adventist church, by the hospital. I see people cutting through the middle lane, like
middle lane.
They're going to the parking lot, and except they're just going onto Hospital Road.
There is no middle lane there.
Yes, there is a middle lane, Miss Sandy. There's a middle lane just after the crossing of the pedestrian.
At the four-way stop by the hospital?
Yeah. After you cross the four-way stop going up towards on Smith Road, there's the middle lane that has the parking lot across from the Seventh-day Adventist church. And there's people literally crossing, going from the middle lane, around the corner, the bad bend, and they're going just to cut off into Hospital Road. There's a shortcut that I would consider it the dirt path that people just go in there. And I mean, I don't think it's safe that people just keep doing this foolishness. I see it every morning. And
maybe you need to record it, because I don't know about a middle lane. That's a 2-lane street right there. But record it so I can figure out what we're talking about here.
I'm in the middle lane and you're turning.
It's a turn lane.
The West Bay, West Bay Road Center. I don't know how you call that, but
yeah, that's a turn lane. It's not a middle lane. It's just a turn lane. But if people are using it for something other than turning.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's another way.
I mean, just sensible driving in general seems to be. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems to be lacking in this country, honestly.
All right, I'm just going to listen on to this.
All right, darling. Thank you so much. Alejandro also said, is it free education that everyone's looking? I think that unfortunately, folks, you've got to pre-plan. Listen, as parents, we're all parents and the hustle is real. You can't assume that at the end of your journey that your kids will have an option. right? Maybe they're not athletic. Maybe they haven't been academically brilliant and you don't have any connections, because a lot of times it's about connections, to get them that scholarship. But it helps if you involve your kids in extracurricular activities, push them into the squash club, because they're going to be hobnobbing with all the right people who might be able to give them a scholarship if they're interested in accounting or law and all these other things. But I hate to tell you, your options might be fewer, but you've got to forward think and you've got to plan ahead on some of these things. This is the bottom line. So a lot of us are living our best lives in the here and now, and we're not thinking about the future for ourselves, or we're not even thinking about the future for our kids. You guys have heard me talk about the necessity to try to alleviate my mortgage as quickly as I can. That's my biggest financial goal, is to become mortgage free. You know why? Because Lord Jesus, the interest rates keep going up. And if I don't have to pay that mortgage, that's money, that's like disposable income that I could do other things with. I could acquire other property. I could set that aside for my daughter's education when she's older, retirement plans. Even if I take 50% of what I am spending on the mortgage at the moment and put it elsewhere, that's still good money. Insurance is going up, y'all. Knock, knock. Who's there? The insurance company. Here to tell you that your insurance is going up again. Life insurance, property insurance, health insurance. It's all skyrocketing. So I do find it interesting that sometimes we ourselves don't see how we need to rein things in a little bit. Every time you go out happy hour and dinners and spending money, put that in your education fund. There are banks that will help you with accounts for like children towards their future. And I think they have like minimal fees and stuff like that. Throw your money into those accounts. This is about fiscal responsibility. Speaking of which, I think I need to add some money to my daughters. I haven't been doing it properly. I need to set up a instant, what's it called? The automatic instructions or whatever. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to email my bank lady. Yeah, so they like take out, compound interest. Keep adding it. If the child is ready for university now and you've not thought about those things, it might be a little bit late. RD says, don't worry. There will soon be a human right challenge to the scholarship funding only being available to Caymanians. And as per usual, government will break under pressure and give in. Watch. What a hot mess. Ay. I don't know what to say. It's hot mess. Jonathan says, I think education should be free. Well, Jonathan, who's going to pay for it? Because I already told you there's no such thing as free. So who's going to pay for it? It could be free to Caymanians. Are you trying to say that we should make it free to everybody here? This is a pretty small country, in case you guys haven't noticed. We don't have the world's biggest GDP. And, the thing about it is, this is my point, if you come from a bigger country, like the United States of America, encourage your children, even if you have PR, go back home, live with a relative, or, they can live by themselves at a certain age, live in the dorm, do dorm life, experience that away from your parents. And they will qualify in their own country for scholarships. And if you're from a country that offers a free education, then certainly you could take advantage of that as well. All right, folks. So this morning, what have we got on our agenda? We are going to be heading to court this morning. I think we're close to now hearing some final arguments in the murder case of what was the young man's name? Dixon and something. They've been having closed door discussions where they kick us out and we can't hear what's going on, but y'all know me already. I already know what's going on up in there. But I won't say anything because I don't want to prejudice the case in any way. But it looks like it continues, and the prosecution, I think, might be doing their closing arguments today. This was the one in Bodden Town. Remember, where the allegation is that the young man walked up or shot through a car window and shot another young man in a car and killed him. So he's in trial. The jury will be probably at least another couple days because, you know, if prosecution goes today, they'll probably take a good couple hours to go through their stuff. And then from that, we've got the defense has to do their closing arguments, and who else? Then the judge will give instructions to the jury before the jury goes out. That's a jury trial. And then the jury will come back with their deliberations, their decision. So we'll see. So someone is asking about an update, and then we're going to do news on the situation with Douglas, whether or not we'd gotten any feedback. So let me tell you what's happened. They didn't really So they didn't really, they haven't sent us an email, but what they have said is that really there's not too much more for them to say because they never actually launched a search for him. So I think clarifying the facts on what happened with Douglas is probably very, very important. So no one other than his family, no government agencies had actually set up a search because I think the thing with government agencies is they need a bit of information before they can properly launch a search. And if there's like conflicting information, then they've got to like verify some of it and so forth. So this is what they've said. They haven't received anything new about the individual to confirm any assistance which was given to him because they never really gave him assistance. So they did send me some of their government, their Maritime Operations and Rescue Coordination Center, ORCC. This is from the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. So they were in contact with them. And then basically the director of CFAN Caribbean, said, I have excellent news to share with everyone. I've just received word from the family that Douglas Hurlston is alive. He drifted all the way to Belize and is safe, praise God. Due to this excellent news, the rescue mission will not be necessary. So they were trying to organize a rescue mission with MRCC Honduras, the Flight Plan Cayman, and other interested parties, naval people, for the naval people in Belize and so on. And so they basically said that as they were trying to get that organized, that he was found. They said we didn't conduct a rescue due to the timing, and the information was passed to us by Mr. Alexander Worm roughly 10 minutes after he emailed calling off the search. And that is all really that was provided to them. So they don't have a real lot of information. But it sounds to me that maybe he has gone back to Honduras. Now, of course, in typical fashion, somebody who must be family to him was messaging me, but they didn't like how I said it. And if he's involved in this and there are others, and I'm like, listen to me. My position is very simple. If he's involved in it, then involved in human smuggling, because they're not saying he isn't. They're like, well, there must be others as well. I'm like, okay, that's called deflecting. But your point would be they'll eventually get caught. You can't do what you want for as long as you want. One day, the bottom is going to fall out. One day you'll be found out. So what I said to them is, listen, today is his time. If he's working with other people, their time will come. If he gets arrested for this, if he comes back to Cayman and they've launched an investigation that supports that there was some human smuggling going on, he gets arrested. If he's sensible, he'll talk. That's on him, though. I don't have any control over that. So, it is what it is. Dean says, will you take us to court with you today? So, we only report on what we know, what we've heard on the mall road, what we suspect is happening, what other people suspect is happening. Don't take insult to it just because he's your family member, honey chill. Simple as that. Y'all have a beautiful day. Here's your news headlines. Be safe.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. Cabinet approved a new commencement order to bring into force parts of the National Pensions Amendment Act 2016, which could see delinquent employers facing higher fines and possibly imprisonment. The Grand Court has granted doctors express leave to seek judicial review of decisions made by the Director of Public Prosecution not to bring criminal proceedings against former Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee in relation to an unlawful search of its facility in 2019. A US-based newspaper has named the Cayman Islands among the top 4 safest Caribbean countries to visit in 2023. Recognizing that the Caribbean is a popular choice for vacation, the Miami Herald encourages Americans to consider their safety before planning where they visit. Now for your CMR weather update. It's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:46. Mostly sunny skies are expected. When the temperature is at 84 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity at 64% like the forecast calls for, it will feel like it's in the high 80s. Winds east-southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour, and the sun sets at 6:30. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the mid-70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit CaymanMallRoad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on A Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.